welcome to Eden Fractal meeting number 36. Today is Wednesday, February 8th, and I'm here with a bunch of amazing community members. We've been having some very interesting discussions about the Planetary Unconference that Lisa is helping to promote, and also talking about the best ways to record these videos and share great experiences with community members and so forth. So we planned out that I'll share a little bit of a recap from last week in case people missed it, and just to catch people up to speed on some of the things that we've done, like updating the MSIG, or rather passing a proposal to update the MSIG, and several other initiatives, also to DAS's work with Fractalgram. And then I'll also share a little bit about the proposals today for topics. There's 3 topics on the agenda today. And then I'll pass it over to Lisa to introduce the Planetary Unconference. First off, I'll just say once again, hello, everybody. Welcome. It's great to see Douglas here. Douglas had invited Rosemarie last week, and we were talking all about that too. Douglas has been up to lots of cool work, and always great to see him. So welcome, Douglas. Welcome, everybody. Hello. If anyone would like to say hello or share a few words now, that would be awesome. And then I'll share a little recap after that.
All right. Well, you've probably heard me talking about the proposals for the planets. And I submitted one that was approved by 3 planets so far, which is for the Interplanetary Unconference. And many of you are aware of DACathon. It was something hosted out of the Crown community by myself and Dwayne and Max and June Dam, and others were involved along the way. We've had 3 over the years. And now we're having, in the same vein, the Interplanetary Unconference. And this will be to cause discussion among the players of the planets in Alien Worlds. The 3rd game is Alien World Syndicates, and we commonly refer to that as the planets because the planets have been allocated Trillium, and people are being elected to decide who gets that Trillium. So the unconference will be for the stakeholders who are interested to create a group of sub-stakeholders effectively by people as part of this conference, and discuss the issues or topics that pertain to multiple planets and things that they care about or might need. And we will see. In the past, we've done things like having a hackathon, which included ideas as well, having sessions, having interviews, different hangout times of sorts. It's most of it in the past has been on Zoom, but obviously there's a lot of options. And so the unconference part means the registrants are planning it, and this helps to make it useful to the stakeholders and allows the group to create whatever they desire to do in a somewhat decentralized fashion. So I'm the centralized part of the Interplanetary Unconference, but look forward to welcoming you all tomorrow and a week from tomorrow, in 24 hours and 7 minutes from now, which is an hour before the Crown and AW Fractally call. And so we're going to try to use those sessions we were discussing last week to do some things that are useful and helpful to the community, sometimes for AW Fractally, and still preserve the Crown discussion part. So an hour before all of that is when we'll have the planning sessions. The first public planning session is tomorrow, and then a week later, and then that group can decide if the registrants are going to continue to have planning sessions or how that's going to go. So I'll share some of the background, and then we'll get on to figuring out how to do decentralized planning. So please join.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa, for the great introduction to the Unconference and all the great work that you're doing all the time with Alien Worlds. If anyone's not familiar too, maybe he's watching for the first time or just learning about the ecosystem, Lisa works a lot with Alien Worlds, which is the most popular blockchain game in the world, I believe. There's many, many players who work together on different planets and build together and build games and trade NFTs and sorts of stuff like that. So it's a really cool project. You can check it out at alienworlds.io. And also Dwayne has been hosting the Ground Deck calls every Thursday for the past like 4 years or so. I join those calls. Lisa does, Eric does, several other community members. I think JZA was there last week as well. So those are great calls. And Dwayne was also hosting a fractally kind of session for Alien Worlds on Thursdays too. So maybe we'll return to that as well. But that's really cool. And so just to be clear, Lisa, people can join. There's the Crown Deck call, which is at 16 UTC on Thursdays. And then for the next 2 weeks, this planning portion of the unconference will be before that, around 15 UTC. Is that correct?
Did I put the wrong time?
You might have put the right time. I might have just forgot. I don't have it in front of me.
I think I put the wrong time because 1600, I'll have to go update it. Let me just double check.
Okay, I think I might have been wrong about
It's
Dwayne's meeting too.
8
Dwayne's at
o'clock.
17
Yeah,
UTC.
it's right. Exactly. It's meant to be the 16. I'm going to have to update that. It's meant to be the 1600 UTC, 8 a.m. Pacific, and 11 Eastern. So I will go update that because I see I got the 1600 part right, but I didn't get the rest right. So I'm going to go update that everywhere now. Thank you for noting.
Cool. Sounds good. Thank you very much, Lisa. And yeah, I encourage everyone to check it out. Also, Patrick shared a mind web for Alien Worlds, which I hadn't seen either, mindweb.io/aw.html. I'm looking forward to checking that. I've also curated a bit about Alien Worlds at edencreators.com/Alien Worlds Fractal, or Alien Worlds, I believe. I'll also briefly share my screen to show both Alien Worlds.io here. So there's a video and you can learn a lot about Alien Worlds here. And then maybe I'll put up Patrick's mind map here too. But if you're interested in learning more about it, you can learn about the missions and teleportation. This game has a huge community, as I was saying, so lots of cool stuff and a very well-designed website. And then if you want to learn more, you can also check out the mind map over here as it's loading. And I'll also open up edencreators.com/Alien Worlds.
A lot of community sites are starting to evolve too, like alienw.com, which Anders did, that shows what's been funded. So that's definitely worth checking out as well.
Cool. Sounds great. Yeah, I checked that out when you shared it with me a couple weeks ago, and it looked awesome and looked very helpful and quite aligned with what we're doing too, because Alien Worlds community is trying to figure out how to cooperate in many ways and pass proposals and so forth. So check out alienw.com, and I'll add that to this page, and perhaps Patrick's already added to the mind map too. Patrick's got a really cool looking mind map here, so big shout out. Thank you to Patrick, as well as thank you to Lisa and Dwayne and Eric and everybody else. Eric is also doing the Center for Governance, which we featured on the town hall last week with Alien Worlds, and lots of cool initiatives. You can click on all these and explore more in the mind map and on the site. And also, we're going to get into breakout rooms in like 3 or 4 minutes, probably. Before we do, I'll also just quickly provide a brief recap too on where we're at. So last week, we passed a proposal, two proposals actually, or the delegates approved two proposals to reconfigure the Eden.fractal MSIG. And the new configuration includes 6 new people, 6 new signatories, smart time delays, and a custom permission. I curated some show notes and timestamps and highlights at edenfractal.com/35, which you see right now. You can learn more. You can watch the full video where we had quite a detailed discussion, and you can see show notes. So there's Fractalgram, which is a new Telegram app that Tadas will be showing us in the hour after the breakout rooms today. It helps people cooperate with the Fractally Eden style consensus meetings. It makes it really easy and it's super helpful. I'm really excited about it. It's got a great name, and it also makes it so people can vote in Telegram rather than the Zoom chat. I curated some of the resources here, like a demo that he showed and the GitHub and so forth, if people want to dive in deeper with it, but he'll share more about that. You can see the new MSIG configuration that was approved last week by Tadas, and Patrick made some proposals. You can see the weights over here. I also started to do this. I've been talking with Vlad about how to do it technically. I'm not totally sure yet. So Vlad and I will meet later to figure out exactly how to make this proposal and actually actualize it on chain. I also put together an MSIG article with a bunch of details about the Eden fractal MSIG. So you can learn, or you can check out that for a pretty comprehensive summary of all the different work we've been doing for the past 8 or 9 weeks now. There was 10 previous proposals to update the MSIG, so it was a big project. And thank you and congratulations to everybody who participated in helping. We also had a brainstorming session last week where we discussed it, and that's where Tadas came up with the final configuration that was approved. You can also check out timestamps there. There's the MSIG article there that you can scroll down and learn much more about what an MSIG is and what is the Eden.fractal MSIG and all the proposals and different considerations and so forth. And then lastly, I'll just show the current topics that are on the agenda for today. Everyone can make proposals on the consortium Eden Fractal site. And so far this week, there's been 3 topics proposed. The topic that was proposed most, I think I saw Tadas just joined, so welcome Tadas. Tadas will be sharing with us a discussion about Fractalgram, so he'll introduce the app and show everybody how to use this in your breakout rooms, and everyone can ask questions and figure out how to use it. Once again, it's a really cool app that I've been working with him a lot, or what I've just been really excited about and trying to help out with. And then I made a proposal for discussing or for using the Telegram chat instead of the Zoom chat to help facilitate topics and agendas and so forth. So I'll share a bit about that. I put together a quick article at edencreators.com/chat where I think it can help us greatly and be quite a simple change. And then Patrick put together a proposal to enable delegates to elect proxies so that they can vote in place of the delegates. So Patrick can discuss that more, and I can discuss that more afterwards. We're at just about 16 UTC now, so we can go into the breakout rooms momentarily. But first, just figured I'd share a little update and recap there. Does anybody have any thoughts or comments before we go into the breakout room? By the way, welcome Jorge and Vlad and CAC and Perry. It's great to see you all. Hope you're all doing well. And yeah, does anybody have any comments? Anybody have any quick comments or questions for Lisa about the Planetary Unconference or any of the things that I just shared, or shall we go into the breakout rooms now?
I missed the explanation for Lisa. What can you briefly summarize just quickly?
Yeah, we're having, you can go in Telegram to at an Interplanetary Unconference, but tomorrow around the same time, like right now, 24 hours from now, we're having the first public planning meeting for the Planetary Unconference. So the participants are going to plan it, starting with the public and then the registrants. So that's the first session, and hopefully everyone can come discuss the issues and topics that pertain to multiple planets and govern together.
And Lisa, you want to tell everybody how to get there?
Yeah, if you go to Interplanetary Unconference, either on the web or in Telegram, you can access the information, and it's also on the Crownlandia calendar.
Drop us a link, Lisa. Drop us a link.
I did. Can you see it in there, or can you only see from when you came in?
I don't see anything.
Okay, I'll do it again.
Hey Lisa, could you also post that in the Eden Fractal Telegram chat as well? You posted a nice message at the top. If you could post that in the Telegram chat as well, so people could see it afterwards, that would be appreciated. And anybody
Which
who's
Telegram group?
I just put it in the chat. It's t.me/EdenFractal.
Okay.
Yeah, and if anybody's not there, I encourage everybody to join because that's where we're having most of our discussions. As CAC has quite a mask on, it looks like CAC is about to go do something very discreetly. So anyway, we're a couple minutes over time, so I'll start the breakout rooms now and hope that everybody has a great time. We'll have 3 breakout rooms with 5 to 6 people each, and rooms are open now. Enjoy.
So how many rooms did we have today? 3?
Yes, that's correct. 3. There's 17 people right now. So 2 rooms of 6 and 1 room of 5.
17 people?
Yes.
Okay.
By the way, Marco, I was able to hear you when you said that. I just joined and I was able to hear you. A couple quick notes first. First, would anybody like to moderate this room? I'm happy to do so, but I think it's helpful if there's somebody who helps to lead it. So I'm happy to do so, or if anybody else wants to, then that would be cool as well.
I could do it. So was to relieve you from so much work.
Sounds good. Thank you, Jorge.
Okay, so I have a question first to Rosemary. Rosemarimer, do you speak Spanish?
Learning at the moment.
Learning. But you were living in Mexico, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Órale. Órale, mi cuate.
What is that? I don't know that.
It's a Mexican expression.
Órale, what does it mean?
Like, let's go. Órale.
All right.
Okay. Like, is this in Spanish or?
Yeah, Spanish.
Okay.
Mexican
Yeah.
Spanish. Yeah.
You are
Mexican.
currently in Mexico?
Yeah, in Playa del Carmen.
Plato Carmen?
Playa del Carmen.
Playa del Carmen. Okay. Perfect. Okay, that's it. So I guess it's time to start. So in the Spanish-speaking fractal, we usually give the first turn to the person, whoever he was, that got the highest level from last week. So was any level 6? Is any level 6 from last week here today?
Yeah, I am, I think.
Rosemary.
You were, Rosemary?
Yeah, she won the prize
Then you go
last week.
first.
Okay, so given updates, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
What have you done for this community? What have you done for promoting the fractal democracy process? And through it, what have you done to create a better world?
Okay. So yeah, my first meeting was Wednesday that I joined, and since then I had a research about EOS and Eden, and I contacted Dan to schedule some more meetings after, and then we did 2 meetings, and then actually we started to record some. So we did 2 recordings, which is basically me trying to delve into the whole system and trying to understand more. And also we started to record just for the purpose for people who are interested in finding out more and sort of new welcomers. I guess shedding a light into how that works for new welcomers, because I am that at the moment. And so apart from these 2 meetings where we've produced that content, which we will probably distribute on YouTube and we'll share soon. We were discussing closely the way that basically what I'm going to be focusing on for the upcoming weeks, which is a welcome guide for new welcomers. So that would be, so Dan took me through the steps of how he designs things so far, and how I can take sort of the lead and also collaborate with him into moving forward to produce that welcome guide. And that welcome guide essentially will serve for any new welcomers to familiarize themselves with the in few bullet points with the processes and how they can easily join the meetings and find out more, so that we can grow the community itself. So that's what I'm going to be focusing for the upcoming days and weeks. And I'm sure I'll be providing more updates onto that next Wednesday. And for that, like with that as well, Dan created this Google Drive folder where he inputted all the art, all the fonts, and everything that's going to be helping me into that design. And we also schedule weekly meetings so that he could also advise for any further questions. And also I activated my account, and I'm going to be logging in very soon. So that's kind of out of the way now. I think this
Okay, do you want to cede the turn to someone?
is
Or do you want to keep talking?
to the right of me. Now I'm passing it to the right of me. So Lisa.
Hello. I'll wait for a second so you can see me. I have been primarily focused on playing Alien Worlds, It kind of sounds silly, but it's actually more work than it sounds. So if anything, I've been connecting the Eden community as best as possible to what we're doing there. But I can't say I've done a ton for the Eden community other than show up late to last meeting, but early to this one. So I can't say I'm the best at the details of governance and how we do things, but I appreciate showing up and being a participant. And so with that, I will pass it to Jorge.
Just by the way, Lisa, you were the first person there at the last meeting. I don't know what you're talking about being late to the last
Last
meeting.
time I was late at the last one. Yeah.
It was just me and you
hours.
in the beginning.
It was 3 hours. No, I meant like last week. I was like 3 hours late or something.
That was 2 weeks ago that you were 3 hours late. And then last week it was just me and you, and then
Oh, I was
Rosemary
on
joined
time
third,
last
I
week?
think. So
All right, well, give me an extra 0.1 points for that. No, I'm just
okay.
kidding. I'm sure every single person deserves more than I do, so I won't mind at all being low on the list.
Oh,
I
no,
just
please,
enjoy
no, not at
participating.
all.
All right, on to you.
So before proceeding, how about we asking questions to these people that already presented? I was thinking asking questions at the end, but probably it's better to do it now that information is fresh. What do you guys think? Do you have any questions for Rosemary or Lisa?
Lisa, I just had a question. I'm interested in the way you are doing the governance of the governance in Alien World. How are you distributing the? Do you have a token in your fractal aliens? If yes, how are you distributing it?
Yeah, Alien Worlds, if you go to alienworlds.io, there's a technical
Okay.
blueprint, and you can read the technical blueprint. It discusses how the Trillium token is distributed from the Federation to the planets and then distributed out to the people.
Okay, not directly to the fractal governance. But that's the most part that I'm interested in the fractal meeting.
Do you
That
want
you
to
are.
address that? Is
Sorry?
Dwayne here? Dwayne, if Dwayne's here, he could address that, I think.
Okay, he's not here. Okay, no problem. No problem.
Oh, he's not in this group. Sorry, he's in the big group. We
Okay.
did a 12-week experiment or project, I should say, that Dwayne was funded to do through the planet through Galactic Hubs at Alien Worlds. So he did 12 weeks of the Alien Worlds Fractally process as part of the Crown Call.
Okay.
And so now we'll decide how we want to use that time. You know, we have a general call every week, and then if we're going to do a fractally process and for what, some people do want to use the process for some things. So I think we're going to talk more about that tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Lisa,
Mark?
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Mic's not coming up. There it is. You mentioned something that had me thinking of other aspects of Alien World, where social communities and things like that. Is that growing? And if so, is there a primary medium like Twitter or something else that's finding?
Yeah, for the Alien Worlds official, there is a Telegram, Twitter, and Discord at Alien Worlds, and you can also subscribe to the newsletter on the website. And then the community sites are emerging, the planet sites, and there will be many of those. Mm-hmm.
Are they picking up? Are they actually taking off? Is that what you meant?
Well, like for example, I set up Planet whatever in Telegram, and Jose did that in Twitter, and we just post things, but that'll be one of the topics to discuss is media assets because these are decentralized communities, and so what does that mean? Right? What does that literally? No, one thing I've learned is most everyone has a different definition of decentralization. It's really quite interesting, from verifying blocks to like everything in a community and everything in between. So that I think that's worthy of, and how that affects media assets is certainly a worthy topic.
Definitely, the centralization and distributed tech is something that people up there. Yeah. And Rosemary, you said you continually refer to welcomers. Is that for just Eden, Fractal? Does that include Eden, Genesis, or is that for EOS?
Couldn't hear you, Marco.
Here's like a scratching sound going on, like something was moving as you're speaking.
My fan. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Rosemary, you mentioned welcomers.
Yeah.
Is that just for the Eden Fractal, or does that include Eden Genesis and EOS?
I think it's like in development, but at the moment I'm gonna focus on Eden Fractal, whilst also providing some links for, I guess, a summary of the other communities, if people want to find out more and read more about them. But it's still very much in the process of developing, and at the moment I'm in the process of gathering this research on and selecting what's most important things to include. So I'm actually welcome for any suggestions and anything that you think is worth including, as your participants to this community for a longer time than I am. So I'm very welcome of that, and I probably a good place to collect suggestions would be for me to create like a Word document in Google Drive and then share the link in the Telegram chat probably. So anyone that has any ideas and anything that they would like to be included in, that they could share. How does that sound?
Sounds good. So
Yep.
I do have a question for you, Miss Rosemary. So you said you held 2 meetings and you are soon going to be posting to YouTube. Is that correct?
Yes. So 2 meetings with Dan, apart from
This
the
done?
one.
Dancing Joy?
Yeah, this
Yes.
done. Yeah. And apart from the Wednesday meeting, which was my initial one. So I've had like a few discussions on just trying to get my head around more into the community, and that would help me have a better vision into that welcome guide and knowing what people will probably want to find out more about initially when they seek out this guide. And our idea is to first, probably target the EOS community because they're already familiar with how EOS works, and it would probably be more, I'd say, as an easier target that people could be converted from coming to Eden Fractally as well and contribute here. But we're also thinking about, when this is done, to expand it into social media and, other channels that are already created for that. So we're like at the beginning stages, but pretty much in discussion on where to distribute this video content, but it could be shared as a YouTube playlist. It could be shared on of course, like the Telegrams and Twitter and the social media channels, or later on we could as well focus on Instagram so that we can target new people. But it's just like a piece of I was gonna say paper, but it's not paper. A piece of PDF in tech words that's gonna be easily read and that would make people feel like it's not that hard and it's not that complicated to find out more about this and contribute, because I think everyone has different ideas, and the more variety of people we introduce to these meetings, the more we expand our vision and the more we grow. So this is sort of the central, I guess, the center idea of this project and how I can contribute, because I don't know if you know, but I don't know, you were there like last Wednesday, but I am sort of focused on marketing, and I have experience in marketing, and I've also graduated with that and worked in a tech company. And so that is sort of my experience and background. And that's the best way I can contribute, as well as ideas and strategy wise.
Great. I did see your video, the video you held last meeting, your last breakout room, and I'm pretty aware. So I guess it's my turn. My work this week was, as usually, related to the Spanish-speaking Fractal. We held our 22nd meeting last night. The community is working, is very cohesive right now. I brought to last meeting the person who brought Linux software and the whole idea of free software to our country, to Colombia. He's a 50-year-old guy by the name of Ricardo Naranjo, who got very intrigued by this process. And I'm trying to sell this idea of fractal democracy to him as an analogy, like saying fractal democracy is to usual government what software libre is, what free software is to regular software. So I hope that brings a whole new momentum to our Spanish-speaking community. Aside that, we are still aiming to unite all the Spanish-speaking sub-communities, meaning we, the Spanish-speaking Fractal, but also Eden Spark, and also the Eden Spanish, which is in talks with this initiative of the greater Eden community of having several Eden in several languages. So I've been talked with Pian, which is the leader of the Eden Spanish initiative. That's it. I think those are my contributions for this week, and I'll give the word to Pascal, unless there are some questions for me.
Just one quick thing I was curious about. You mentioned that you invited somebody who brought Linux to your country. So they're a Linux developer, and they help pioneer and like spread it with the Spanish community. Is that a correct? Okay.
Correct.
Cool. Sounds awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Is that person looking to develop a blockchain?
I don't know yet. The guy it's a very community-oriented person. He basically grew the Linux community here in South America, not only Colombia, but the whole of South America. The only issue is that he recently had a heart attack about 2 years ago. So he's trying to take it easy and not submit himself to too much stress. Well, everybody has to die. So I'm trying to to entice him into bring the best of him to our community.
It sounds like there's a lot of people. How many unique people would you say are involved between Spark and the Fractal and the other things you mentioned?
How many unique people what?
Are involved in the things that you mentioned between Spark, the Fractal?
The Spanish-speaking Fractal? Well, the Telegram group has around 32 members, out of which we have between 6 and 8 regular attendees to our meetings. And I hope that once we have our token and we have the smart contract, this number is going to grow.
One other thing that kind of Marco mentioned, so you're doing collaborations with Eden Spark as well, and also I think you mentioned Eden Spanish, which I guess is a different separate entity from Eden Spark. So I'm just curious. I mean, we can get into it more in future. I know we're fairly short on time here, but I haven't heard much about the Spanish Fractal lately because we haven't been in a room lately. So I'd be curious to hear how the collaborations are going with Eden Spark. Also, I think you're working with EOS Microloan people too. So I'm curious in general if you want to share a little bit more about how the collaborations are going with the wider Eden and EOS community, attracting them to the Spanish Fractal.
I haven't had any contact with the last group you mentioned was the
Microloan
EOS
or
Microloan.
the
Yeah,
marketplace?
I haven't had any contact with that specific community. Several of the members of the Eden Spark, including Jose Basanta, Fian, Jessica, have attended at least one of the meetings of the Spanish-speaking Fractal. I think most of the Eden Spark community is migrating to the Eden Spanish initiative, which is promoted by Fian. And just last week, because they are having also pretty low attendance, about 7 members per meeting, I proposed Jessica, which was attending our Spanish-speaking Fractal meeting, to send the word that it could be a great idea to unite our protocols. You know, this protocol is pretty different from the Eden protocol, to unite our protocols and have a single Spanish-speaking community, a single and stronger. I think that's the best approach because, as you know, these communities are valued according to Metcalfe's law, which states that every community's value is proportional to the square root of the number of people. So it's better to have one community with 20 members than 2 communities with 10 members each. So I hope that answers your questions. Still, these coming weeks, I don't want to press them too hard, but I would like to keep the door open so that they can come. As far as I understand, there will be some funding for the Eden Spanish, which probably they'll try to allocate according to whatever their plan is. But still, I think it's better to try to unite the communities at this stage.
Awesome. I agree. And that sounds very exciting. Thank you, Jorge.
Thank you, Pascal.
Okay, thank you, Jorge. Hi, everyone. So I'm Pascal. This week, I've been trying to push the project that I'm working on it. It's Tiagori, which is a blockchain-based reward platform for those that create contents about Bitcoin and EOS. So the information website is launched, and then tomorrow, if things goes well, the minimum viable product should be launched. So it's the platform where we can publish content about Bitcoin and EOS. It's based on Hive blockchain, and then the initial idea came directly from what we had at Fractally before that project stopped. So I wanted to continue the initiative. So Tiagori is a platform for content creator to write content about Bitcoin and EOS, and then those contents will be indexed on Hive blockchain. So why Hive? Is just because Hive, most of the members of Fractally had an Hive account. So I'm leveraging that to form a council to which we'll be delegating power. We'll have some Tiago power to those council members, and they will be the initial members that would upvote contents that people are creating. So that's basically how it works. The white paper is published on Tiagori info website, everything, the tokenomics, and then the distribution of the power. The innovation that I'm bringing there is a fractal governance. How each week we're going to meet and then use the power that you have as a content creator to upvote others, to empower those that are creating content. It's the distribution of power to content creators using the Hive model. Is the same design. Also, this week I published an article on what Tadas wrote about the app that he launched. It was what's the name? What's the name again?
Fractalgram.
Fractalgram. So I published an article on that on Fractal's community in the Go Fractal website, and also on Hive, so that people can follow out. I intend to use it as a tool in the future during Tiagori Fractal meetings. So it's a great tool. That's what's my main focus this week. Regarding EOS, I'm still there, publishing most of my EOS contents go into social networks that are based on blockchains. Snipcoin, Hive, everything that's blockchain based. That's why I publish my EOS contents. So very little on traditional social networks, because I believe we should be using our tool to publish our content there. That's where Tiagori will be doing in terms of value creations, to empower those that are creating content. So yeah, two things that the platform will launch tomorrow. The MVP will be launched tomorrow with minimum features like ability to upvote, ability to stake, ability to delegate. So I'm looking forward with the community, with the Eden Fractal community. I always express that, to handpick few members that will kickstart the council. So the minimum member is 4, and then the maximum is 21. And then the 2 criteria to pick a member is someone who was active in Go Fractally community, and then someone who is also actively participating in Fractal governance. So that's the 2 main criteria. Now, as soon as the MVP is launched tomorrow, I'll be putting most of the energy into the council, the Fractal Council, to start it as soon as possible, and then also work on the liquidity part, so that when people earn their token, Tiago token, if they want to exchange it with another, if they want to exchange it with Hive or with EOS or with USDT, they are free to do that. So but that part is like 2 months ahead of time. So that's what I've been doing this week, and we'll be doing the next couple of weeks. Thank you. I will take any question if they have. Yeah.
Sounds awesome, Pascal. I saw Jorge wrote 1 minute, and we only have like 25 minutes left to do everything, so I don't want to take up too much time. But 2 things I wanted to ask is, one, do you have a link to the article that you wrote about Fractalgram?
Yeah.
And then secondly, I'm looking at the website that you shared, thealgory.info, and it looks really cool. I would encourage you to either share your screen, or I could show it briefly just so people can understand it better. I don't know if you want to save that for later, but I mean, just looking at the website, it looks awesome, and I think it would help people understand better what it is.
Yeah, I can share my screen very fast. Screen sharing. Okay, I can do it very fast. Just 30 seconds, not to take too much time. So this is the info website. So it gives information on what is Tiago, Tiagori. So it's a web-based reward platform. And you get rewarded when you write about Bitcoin and EOS. So most of the tool. So when users, they come here tomorrow, they will just click here, and then it will go to the blogging platform, which is on-chain using Hive. So Web3 is all about having direct ownership on your contents and the assets you earn. We have a tool, a dual token system, Tiago token, and then Tiago Power. So the contents, the token utility is to reward content creators, those who stack their Tiagos when they earn it. They can use the token to promote their posts. I'll be also with community member to find a way to implement a learn and earn program. So that when people learn how Hive works, the blockchain works, or how EOS works, they can earn some Tiagos. And then the last utility on the Tiago token is the governance. This is where the fractal governance comes in. So this is, you will find everything there. The friendly communities that I really find myself in for the last 7 years is EOS, Hive. So it's I want to work with Eden Fractal because I believe in the fractal governance. So the more we have fractal experience going on, the most is good. And then from there, we can create like cross rewarding system amongst those communities to make our tokens swap as we want. And then another page is the white paper. The white paper just describes everything that I just mentioned about. So basically that's it. If somebody was involved in Fractally community and then was using Hive, he will easily understand what we are trying to build with Tiagori. So it's the white papers talk about. And then the governance, the rules, how it works is also described in the white paper. So that's everything I was working this week. Thank you, everyone. If there's a question, I will be happy to answer, but everything's online.
Thanks, Pascal.
Before
That's
we
awesome.
leave, real quick, I think we need to ask the question and give the answer in like 2 minutes because we need to give time to Dan and to Marco.
Real quick, I really liked how it turned out. I remember seeing the site and the name and asking about the name back to the Cheers Fractal. I am interested again. I've always been interested in that stuff because that's where I started from. But what I really had to ask was all the focus, all the hoopla is on and I remember at least over a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, wrapped Bitcoin EOS, mining it there. Did that factor into having content about both EOS and Bitcoin or not at all?
In terms of contents, I had opportunity to index because Hive has this layer two smart contract, and then you can index any content you want. So I wanted to start with Bitcoin, the grandfather of crypto, and EOS to support the EOS blockchains in terms of contents. Now, there is possibility to have wrap token. It's already there. This secondary has this wrap token. So wrap EOS, wrap Bitcoin, wrap ETH there. Now the liquidity, one of the challenges I see now is the liquidity problem. How somebody will earn his Tiago, if you want to swap it with another token to be able to do that. So it's to bail the liquidity part of it so that this wrap token can be used. But technically speaking,
actually, the whole novelty was mining Bitcoin on EOS by creating a pool so that you could take from the pool and it would almost be guaranteed that so you could use it right away. I think it's still around. I don't know. I used it for a while. I just already that was part of the inspiration, but if not, either way, it's still an awesome idea. I really like that.
Okay, let's keep it for other discussion, and then because we have time constraints, I'll be happy to talk to you, Marco. Thanks.
Okay. How about you, Pascal, giving the word to
Dan.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Pascal, for all the great work. Thank you, everybody, for all the great work. I'll give a pretty quick presentation. By the way, I just shared a link in the chat for the Fractalgram. It's my first time setting it up, but you should be able to click that link and then join the new Telegram group, which is S6 there, and then we can use the Fractalgram app that the DOS built to vote on it. And I'm looking forward to checking out the article you wrote too, Pascal. I'll share a little presentation now, and I'll start my timer too so I don't go for too long. Okay, cool. So, did a bunch of stuff this week. It was a busy week. So for one thing, I released the video and I produced the video and I put the show notes out at edenfractal.com/35, explaining the updates with the Fractalgram and the MSIG. I showed this a little bit at the beginning of the meeting, so I won't go into it too much, but a little art here. And then I wrote a little introduction and gathered resources about the Fractalgram app. I'll also add Pascal's article there. I also wrote and curated resources and timestamps about the new MSIG configuration when people made the proposals. And I also curated the MSIG article that I wrote last week, all about the details of the MSIG and how the MSIG can be helpful and why we're doing it and so forth, all the different proposals we made previously. And I curated the brainstorming sessions. I wrote a couple paragraphs and shared some links for each of these. And then there's some timestamps where people can learn more without having to watch the full video. Also, so I did a lot of collaborations this week with, this was a pretty funny moment. Somebody commented on it. I did a lot of collaborations this week with Vlad, Tadas, and Rosemarie, as Rosemarie was mentioning before. So I figured I'd get a smiley face there to show it. So following up on the article that I did for the MSIG, which you can check out at edencares.com/MSIG, I worked with Vlad on actually actualizing the MSIG and proposing it on chain. It's a little bit confusing. You have to go into the code and use some JSON and stuff like that. So this didn't take a huge amount of time, but I'm looking forward to speaking with Vlad later to try to figure out exactly how to do it, to take the next steps there to propose it on chain to the current signatories. I also worked with Rosemarie on the welcome article quite a bit. I've been working with Vlad for the past few weeks, but it was a lot messier. So after Rosemarie reached out, I took some time to just clean it up a little bit so it'd be a little bit more clear. It still needs a lot of work here, but here's kind of like a basic introduction of just what is Eden Fractal, new to Eden Fractal, the different consensus games we're playing in Eden plus Fractal and Cagendas, and the itinerary and FAQ and stuff like that. How Rosemarie and I've been talking about how we can, shorten it into like simple pages and make it much simpler, but this is kind of just putting everything out there that we might want to include. I made some art for this too, and you can see there's links to Eden Fractal and Cagendas and so forth to show people how to play. Some of this is still work in progress, where I'm just making notes to myself and Rosemarie and anybody else is interested in helping in this. If anybody else has any ideas about how to best welcome people to the meetings, then that would be cool, but I'll move on here. I see my timer's already at 2 minutes, so apparently it's gone fast. I also checked out Rosemarie's music too. It's really cool. Checked out a lot of her work. So I really appreciate Rosemarie joining. And we did have the 2 meetings. We talked for like 5 hours or something like that. And then I put together the art and logos. Rosemarie asked if I could kind of build, it turned out to be a bit of a brand guide. So I put together some of the art that I've been doing for Cagendas and for Eden Fractal and so forth, and logos, so that Rosemarie could use some of this or use some of the inspiration to build some of the guide, as well as any other people who are interested in marketing can help out with this. I also wrote a little note there too. And as Rosemarie said, we recorded some videos, which maybe we'll share at some point. That's cool. I also had a meeting with Vlad too. Vlad played guitar for me, which is awesome. And we both put on vests and we talked for like 2 hours about Eden Fractal and life and the goal of Eden Fractal and all sorts of stuff like that. We recorded this, and I'm also trying to convince Vlad to also make this into a podcast. Maybe we'll release it at some point soon. I also did a lot of research into tools this week. I'm working on getting a better camera setup and a better monitor setup and so forth. So just to give a high-level overview, lots of different tools I'm working on in my studio to be able to better moderate and be a better host and better videos and all sorts of stuff like that. I hosted the Eden Fractal 35 last week. Thanks. I'll probably need an extra minute, but I'll try to be as quick as possible. I also made the thumbnail and hosted the 35th town hall with Chris and Eric talking about the art fractal, and you can see it there on the Eden Cares YouTube channel. And I also hosted an Exploring DGov Eden Town Hall, where I did a talk with Chris and Patrick and several other people about Chris's new DGov initiative. So that will be coming out soon. I also made an article about Jordan Peterson's new project. That's at edencreators.com/Jordan, where you can see his project that's quite related to Eden. I've just been curating some links there and timestamps. I participated in the Helios Twitter space, and I talked with Chris about this, as well as Eden Fractal. And then I also made a lot of feedback with the DAS in the Fractalgram group that we did, just to help, because I'm really excited about this project. And I also started working on some potential designs to help brand Fractalgram. Lastly, I made an article just this morning about Telegram live chat plan, and I put together, this is at edencreators.com/chat, an idea where we can use the Telegram chat to be able to facilitate meetings better rather than the Zoom chat. So you can check that out there, and maybe I'll present it later. Sorry for going a bit long there, but I'll wrap it up now, and I'm happy to answer any questions perhaps later. Thank you.
well, since I'm the only one left, might as well ask anyway. The more I hear about it, in my, as a level 1 delegate, in my room was a strong push for improving onboarding as well as the UI. Probably not going to do much about the UI, but I figured help improve would be a step by step. Most current one. So the more I hear about what you and Rosemary are up to, I'm really coordinate, or at least nowhere. I am going to try to connect with video support because they have the chat any questions. So I will run by my step by step on the website that took up all my time this past week. On how best they can answer questions based on the presentation, what can be adjusted. What do they see is missing from theirs? And might as well network with people. For instance, I most recently looked at Ledger, and I saw Anchor as a current document, and so does Ledger. And one of the things hadn't been updated since 2018, and they even referred to Scatter, and Scatter was a popular wallet for, whether they know, 2 years ago, and listed on those names. However, there hasn't been an update in like a year. So at the very least, on something like that, the reassurance to have like something current within the past month, every month, just checking in or something like that. So at the very least, it'll be something like that. It'll updated as this date. So coordinating there, that sounds good to you guys. I'm doing it anyway. That's part of my responsibility as a board member. Other things I've done this week are prepared some stuff for articles. We're going through sports, chats, actually telegrams, but mostly on the website and looking at what I can do paid, what I can be paid, how long it will last, and if it's worth it. And that's it. I'll take questions.
Thank you, Marco. So, any real quick questions for Marco in about 1 minute?
I don't have questions right now, and I would suggest maybe saving any questions until after we do consensus. We have about 10 minutes, maybe 13 minutes to do consensus for both ranks and delegates.
Okay. I usually advocate that we do not sub-rank at any moment during the process. So if you prefer to self-vote yourself, please raise your hand. Otherwise, we won't do self-voting during this voting.
I don't personally prefer to vote for myself, but I would say that I would encourage anybody, if they want to vote for themselves, then they can feel free to do so.
So please raise your hand if you want to allow self-voting during this election.
Well, only as an option.
Okay, so we are allowing self-voting. I already wrote level 6.
Jorge, I started up the Fractalgram app. Did you see the link that I shared in the chat? So far, I think everybody's joined, but you and Pascal.
Yeah, I haven't logged in. Oh my God, let me just launch my app.
Wow.
Let's expect it. It's powerful.
Is that Pascal?
I'm opening.
Okay, cool. If this is your first time using Jorge, I'm not sure if you used it before. I don't think you have. I can briefly explain it, but basically I'll share the link again in case anybody hasn't seen it.
I saw it. I have it.
Okay, cool. So yeah, still Pascal hasn't joined yet.
Yeah, I'm logging.
Okay.
Do you have a how-to on how to use this?
Yeah, so the first thing that you need to do, it's quite simple and quite intuitive, and I'll explain anything that is confusing if you have any questions. But first thing you need to do is there's a message. Actually, you might not be able to see it because you just joined, but I'll do the account prompt again. and then you respond to this message. You need to make sure that you right click it and then hit reply, and then you write your EOS account name there in reply. So for example, I go reply and I hit my account name, and then you see it there. So far, Rosemary and I have done it, and I see Jorge and Pascal just joined.
Okay.
And the message.
Jorge, when you reply, make sure you reply to. Actually, I just I'll do it again because I'm not sure if it shows after you join. So I will go and
Yeah, the message. Yeah.
okay. For some reason, it doesn't seem to be working because it gave me the option to do a prompt before, but now when I go to click the prompt button, it is not giving me that option. So I don't know if we're encountering a bug right now that I haven't experienced before. I'll try to do a new group quickly, and if not, then we can do Zoom chat as we usually do.
So a new group will be a new link.
Yeah, I'll share it right now. And EF36. Okay, and check the Zoom chat for the link right now, and try joining this group instead.
Could you post it in Telegram in the Eden Fractal group?
No, I just posted it in the Zoom chat.
Yep.
The second one, the bottom one, click that one.
Okay.
Maybe this one.
Okay, so far, Pascal and Jorge have not joined yet.
You just join it.
Okay, cool. And now I'll put up the thing over here, the prompt. So you should see a message that says, please enter your account as reply to this message. Make sure that you specifically reply to it with just your EOS account.
Okay. Reply.
Okay, and we're just missing Jorge now. Cool.
I'm in.
So we're all in. So now I'll go level 6 poll, and I'll create it. And now when you're ready, you can vote on who you think should be level 6.
Okay.
I'm not sure which one is immortal.
Immortal
is Marco.
Yeah.
No.
No, sorry. It's
right.
It's me. I'm immortal.
Yeah. And DGB Tech is Pascal.
Yeah.
And Martin Birdstar is Marco.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and just as a bit of logistical, we only have like 7 minutes left or so we should be quick. In the future, I suppose there's so many interesting things today. We got in all sorts of discussions, but we'll have to be quick here. So we have 5 out of 6 votes now. So far, Pascal has 2 votes from Rosemarie and Jorge. Marco voted for Jorge. I voted for Rosemarie, and Pascal voted for me. I think there's one person who hasn't voted yet, which is... Actually, no, there's only 5 of us. Yeah. Okay, cool. I think what Pascal is doing with...
Where are you seeing the votes?
Oh,
it's showing directly.
If you have view results, yeah, and then below, it depends on what Telegram client you're using, if you're using a PC or Mac or whatever, but there should be a button below that says like view results, and then you can click there and it shows poll results. So, and if not, we can troubleshoot it later. We have to go pretty quickly here, but that's what it shows. So I'll just share quickly my thoughts just to move it along. So I voted for Rosemarie. I really appreciate what she's doing, as I mentioned many times, but also Pascal is doing amazing work too. So I'm happy to change my vote to Pascal. And that means that Pascal now has 3 votes. So if we want to reach consensus on Pascal at 6, then one more person would need to change their vote to Pascal.
Yeah, I can change. I just voted for Jorge for bringing in
Okay, cool. So I think we reached consensus on Pascal at 6 then. Thank you very much, Pascal.
Thank
How
you,
do we
everyone.
change vote?
If you right click on it and click
Right
retract a
click.
vote, then it will change the vote.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Great.
Okay, and I'll put out the poll for level 5 now.
Mm-hmm.
And I encourage everyone to vote right now. Oh, by the way, there's Dogman there. You can just ignore Dogman. That was an accident. So
we are not voting for Pascal anymore.
No,
yes,
level 5 now.
Pascal can't be voted for. And actually, since Dogman's there and Lisa was here, but she's not here anymore. If you want to vote for Lisa, vote for Dogman, and that will be Lisa.
Okay.
Okay, we have 4 to 6 votes in. There's one person who hasn't voted yet. So far, Rosemary has 2 votes from Pascal and me. Jorge has 2 votes from Rosemary and Marco, and Jorge voted for me. Does anybody want to share any quick thoughts about how we think we should proceed here?
I think if we measure this as number of hours dedicated to this community, Dan has to take this highest level.
Yeah, but I make the argument that competitiveness devalues sometimes, at least on a consistent basis. And bringing in somebody new, somebody that like a Linux private administrator is a big deal. New person, just so we rank a new person high, we can rank a unique contribution high.
Okay.
So I think that's really valuable too. It's very difficult to decide. I also voted for Rosemary again. She's also new and she's brought a huge amount of energy and skills and talent and so forth. So that's why I voted there. But I'm also happy to go with Jorge as well. Either way works for me.
Yeah, I would change my vote to Jorge. Marco brought that point. I didn't notice. He brought one new member, and then he's.
Okay, thank you guys. I think we
Yeah,
reached
so-
consensus already.
Okay, sounds good. And now only a few minutes left, so level 4. And we still have to reach a consensus by a delegate after this too. So please submit your votes promptly.
And again, the reason why I didn't vote for Rosemary, though she's new, she got a level 6 last week.
Mm.
But you know, again, Dan gets level 6 week in and week out. I can appreciate it because I know I can appreciate it next week. So.
Okay, sounds good. Of note, I did get like level 2 and level 3 the past few weeks too, so I haven't gotten level 6 each week lately. But I'm happy to go either way.
You know how I feel every week. But no, Rosemary did work hard this week, so I know either way.
Okay, we reached consensus for Dan.
Okay.
Especially for
Okay, and level 3. In the future, it'd be good to discuss these more, but we just kind of go on the speed round right now.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Okay, cool. Okay, and level 3, it looks like there's consensus on Rosemary. Rosemary voted for Marco, but everybody else voted for Rosemary. So Rosemary got level 3.
Congratulations, Rosemary.
Okay,
Very well
sounds
deserved.
good. And then level 2 and 1, we still have Marco and Lisa left. So I'll put up another poll right now. We're on level 2.
By the way, level 3 turned out to, it said 100% to, or am I getting confused?
What's that? Level 2?
Level 3,
Yeah, there was consensus for you.
Yeah.
Yep, it shows you have 67%, 4 to 6.
okay. On my screen shows different, but maybe it's
Okay.
just,
Yeah, sometimes it bugs out. It's a little new, but
Alright.
okay.
It was 100% with 4 people voting.
Okay, cool. So I think we have consensus on Marco at level 2, and then I'll vote for Lisa at level 1. I really appreciate what Lisa's doing, by the way. What she's doing is incredible, but Marco's also doing great work too. So there's that. And as for delegates, who's interested in being a delegate?
I was last week, so I'll bow to anyone there. Otherwise, I'll do it again.
I'll allow Lisa to go so that he can get more in touch with what we are doing and train herself better for his marketing efforts.
You say Lisa or Rosemary?
Rosemary, sorry.
Okay. Are you interested in being a delegate, Rosemary?
What does that include?
A delegate includes
One more.
yeah, I know she said you weren't sure if you'd be able to make it for the second hour, so it's including being there for the second hour and helping to vote on proposals. If you want to wait until you've had more experience too, that would be okay. I'd be happy to be a delegate. I was a delegate a few weeks ago, but mine will end in soon, so I could also be a delegate. But if you're interested in being a delegate, or Jorge, if you're interested, that would be cool too.
I'll vote for Dan then.
Okay, sounds good. We got a thumbs up from Marco. Is that cool with everybody? In the interest of time, we have to make a decision quickly.
Go for it, yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll vote for myself then too, and accept that. Oh, I have to put that in the thing. Sorry about that. There's actually a delegate poll here, which would have helped facilitate that, but I forgot about it. So you can vote now in the chat.
Yeah.
It's done, right? Not done.
Yeah.
Okay, that's done now. Yep. And now the last thing is I hit consensus results. Yeah, not Dogman. And then the last thing is I hit consensus results, and this is group number 2. This is group number 2. So I type that in, and then pinned message, and then you can where it says results can be submitted here. You can click that, and it'll open up the web app that Vlad is building, and it'll pre-fill it with all the results that we just came to consensus about in our room. It should have me as delegate, room 2, Pascal at 6, Jorge at 5, me at 4, Rosemary at 3, and Marco at 2. Oh, and also we should put, or actually I'll just take care of that later. We'll put Lisa's account at the bottom, but that's good for now.
Wow.
It works very well, right? Yeah.
Okay. So what's Lisa's address?
I will go figure that out right now, actually, so everybody can enter it. Blocks.io. I'll also hit the close rooms button.
Yeah, I hope she's leaving soon. We'll do it.
That was right on time. Oh,
right.
Wow.
It was like a minute over.
Yeah.
That was intense.
I think it's Rosemary 1111. I used it last week. It works.
It's written already on the app.
Yeah. It's Rosemary 11111.
5 ones.
Yeah, 5 ones.
1 for each finger.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm submitting. Are we fine?
What about Lisa?
Oh, yep.
Okay, Lisa. Sorry.
Lisa's name is. I'll share it in the Zoom chat right now.
Okay,
It's just Lisa Chandler. It's her name spelled out in full letters. So I'll submit that in there. And and everyone, if you haven't voted already, then just put Lisa Chandler in there. And I don't know if you got your concept of Rosemary, but if you haven't, then you don't have to worry. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the community room. Hope you all had a great time in your breakout rooms. Sorry for going a minute over time or so there. We had a little bit of a hectic time trying to reach consensus at the last minute and also use Fractalgram. But it all worked out well. Hope that everybody else had a good time in their rooms. And we'll get into the agendas and the topics that are on the consortium, starting with DAS's introduction and overview of Fractalgram in a few minutes. First, before we jump into that, if anybody wants to share a few words or say anything or reflect on their experience in the room or ask any questions, then now would be a good time to do so.
Yeah, I'll go. So one of the reasons I invited Rosemary here is that we're planning to use this software to do our fork to help with Aquarius Academy and bring people together with that. As many people know, I've been sort of absent for 2 months. I was in the jungle and exploring, bringing people together in real life. I'm super grateful to be back and to see all the progress, and thank you to everybody who contributed to that progress. I'm very optimistic about the technical solution, as well as I'm optimistic just to see all your familiar faces here and know that you guys have been dedicated to this, and we've been going here for so long. And I look forward to the next fractal offshoots of fractals that start to get steam. So thank you, Dan, for the stage.
Thank you so much, Douglas, for those words and all that you're doing. I haven't seen the results of your room yet, but I hope you got a high level of respect for both all the great work you're doing and also inviting Rosemary. And I hope that you can start joining more often, because it'd be great to see you more often and give you more respect and so forth, and work on all the cool fractal things that we're doing. So I'm very excited to see your progress with Aquarius Academy. And thanks again. I don't know which jungle, Douglas. Did you say a question, Douglas and Perry? Yes, which jungle? Feel free. I did. He actually has an interview or a podcast that he did with Gabriel about Camazotes. So that might be the jungle you're talking about.
No, I was actually in just real quick. I was in a different jungle. I was in Cenote dos Ojos Park in Tulum, which there's like a bunch of huge cenotes there. While I was there, they had the Day Zero Music Festival, and I like snuck into the music festival, and like it was epic. So yeah, if you're in Tulum, check out Jungle Project. They have like accommodations and things like that.
I still don't know where that is. Where is that?
Tulum, Mexico.
Ah, okay. Tulum, Mexico. All right.
Cool. Sounds good. Yeah, you can learn a bit more. Actually, no, I won't go into detail, but Gabriel shared a little bit about it in the recent town hall. Pascal said, "Welcome back from the jungle." And also I'll share in the Zoom chat the link to the web app that you can submit your votes. So if you haven't submitted your votes already for consensus, I encourage you to do so now. And I'll also share the link to the spreadsheet for the delegates. And then in a moment, I'll check who the delegates to see if all the delegates are here. I don't think we actually have any proposals. We have just topics on, so that's actually not super relevant. But please submit your votes there. And then in a moment after Eric goes, then I'll briefly show the screen for consortium about the upcoming topics. Eric, what are your thoughts?
So we had an interesting conversation about empowering both individuals and the groups and what the difference is. So that's, I thought, a pretty valuable topic. When does the group and the individual come in contact, and how? We also talked about the mindset of getting people ready to do one of these things in the real world, because you can't just walk in and say, here's these great tools in Telegram and all that. So we talked about prepping the culture and getting people ready, groups ready for doing those. And then, of course, we talked a lot about Tadas's tool, which we used and was amazing as always.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric, for sharing the quick overview, and great to hear all the stuff that you guys are talking about in your room, or that you're all talking about in the room. And yeah, I'm really excited about this tool. Really excited to hear from Tadas. Before Tadas goes, I'll just briefly share the screen just to give a high-level overview of the topics. If we can get to all three topics, that would be cool. But we'll play it by ear and see how much time everything takes and what everybody's interested in talking about. Here's the consortium page. So first, Tadas will share a presentation of the Fractalgram app as a tool to help in breakout rooms, and there'll be time for questions, discussions, and feedback. As always, each presenter will have about 5 minutes to share their work, and I'll ask that everybody please wait until the presenter is finished speaking to speak, and then please raise your hand afterwards, and as a moderator, I'll call on everybody to try to give everybody a good time to speak and so forth. Looking forward to hearing all the feedback. I also have a topic here about using the Telegram chat and Telegram polls, which I think goes quite nicely with the Fractalgram app as well, and I can share an article about that briefly after Josh goes, and then Patrick has a topic for delegates proxying their votes to other people. So if we can get to all those, that would be great. Just very briefly, I'll share a link to in the chat. I think Tadas will probably share a screen and show, but Tadas has a great post that's introducing Fractalgram, where you can learn more about it, and you can check out the Ian Fractal Telegram to learn more. And then I'll put up my link in the chat to the new idea for the chat as well. And as a general note, if anybody wants to move on to the topic, move on to the next topic, then feel free to let us know in the chat so we can help proceed and help make sure that everybody has the best experiences possible. With that, I'll pass it on to Tadas. Are you ready to introduce the Fractalgram app to everybody, Tadas?
Yes, I'll start sharing my screen soon.
Cool, sounds good. Thanks.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So first, short introduction to what is Fractalgram. Basically, it's simply another Telegram client, web client, which works almost like any other web Telegram client. Well, actually, there are two other Telegram clients. I forked one of them and made some modifications. And what I did was basically just add a couple of basically buttons to compose some special kinds of messages to help reach consensus. It basically doesn't do anything that normal Telegram clients couldn't do, but you currently would have to do those things manually. Yeah, so hopefully you will see what I mean. Shortly, I will try to demonstrate. Basically, I have here a group with 5 accounts. Basically, it's me and a bunch of bots, just because it's easier to test it this way. But you will see my point. So basically, here is a touch menu, and normally in Telegram you have photo, only those 3 options. I added all of these options, and the first thing you would probably want to do is account prompt. And basically what this does is it creates a message which is supposed to help everyone, and this tool including, to learn everyone's EOS account name. So everyone is supposed to reply with their EOS account name. And then if you go to the next step, level 6 poll, and then it automatically creates it brings up this model where you can see create a new poll, and as you can see, it already fills in the EOS account name for the account which replied with their EOS account name. And here we create this poll, and then everyone votes for who should be level 6. And next, we do the same for level 5, and so on. And yeah, so we do the same thing for level 3, level 2, and then the same thing for delegate poll. And at the end, at the last step, there is a consensus results option. It brings up this model. I will maybe explain later what these other options are, but for even Fractal participants, only this the default option is what's needed. So you simply press next, input a group number for your group, and it composes a message like this. Now, I only created polls for level 5, 6, and level 5 in this demo, so that's why these are empty, and that's why there are only 1 of 5 votes, because only I have voted. But you see my point here, and yeah, if I press submit, now I only made it so that only this window is shared, so you won't see. I won't be able to demonstrate how to. Yeah, but you see, this message is basically generates a link to our front end where we submit our consensus, and there you would see the input form with values already filled in for a group number, for both 1 and you should see it for a delegate too. Yeah, but because only I have input at EOS account name, so it only inputs into the link the account names which only input EOS account name. So other bots did not reply with your account name, so that's why you don't see it. Yeah, I don't want to take up too much of this time. So maybe that's enough for a presentation, and maybe we should go to questions. Okay, Dan.
Yep, sounds great. Thank you to Das very much for the presentation and all the great work. I'll also share in the chat too an example of, we just used it in our room. Lenny wrote, works beautifully. I agree. I think that it makes the experience so much better personally. So thank you so much for that. I'm sharing a link in the chat in case anyone wants to see how it outputs there. This is what we just came to consensus in our group. So you can click that and you can see how it opens up the web app that Vlad is building with the results pre-filled in. So it makes it very easy for people to click on it. And also I'll just say in the show notes from last week, edenfractal.com/35, I also, there's a top section that I'll also link to here where, in addition to everything that he shared with you, that Tadasha shared with you, he also has that blog post that I shared with you, and he gave a presentation in recent meetings and so forth. So if anyone wants to dive deeper into some of the resources about Fractalgram later, then you can check that out. I'm also working on an article to help curate Fractalgram as well. With that, if there's anything else you want to add on to Das, to any of that, then of course feel free. First, if anybody has any questions about how this works, then that would be great to hear. Up to Das.
Yes, I wanted to add another thing. Like, I just posted a link to this app in the chat, in the Zoom chat. So what I just did, the point is that anyone can do using this app. So in your breakout room, the next time you can simply create a Telegram group. That's one thing you will need to do manually still. You need to create a Telegram group, and then go into that group through this specific app, Fractalgram web app, and then you will be able to do the thing which I just demonstrated.
Yes, thank you for clarifying. I just tried it for the first time and it worked very well. There was one little bug that we had, but we just restarted and it worked perfectly after that. Also, I'll share one last thing, that you have a Telegram group that you started up at the bottom of the blog post. So if anybody wants to join afterwards and share comments specifically about there, then that Telegram group is in there, and I encourage everyone to join. If you don't have any further thoughts to share there, Tadas, I see Jorge has his hands up. So Jorge, what do you think about Fractalgram?
Well, I think it's pretty neat. First of all, I'd like to give a big shout out to Dan, because he really took charge of our group. We were having serious time issues because we were really engaged in the conversation, and time was running over, and he took over in order to achieve consensus, and he did that while showing us the Fractalgram app. It was great work done you did there.
Thank you, Jorge.
Also, I have a question for Tadas. I have these issues with Telegram. I can't DM any of my friends because some of these scammers apparently report my account when I ask them to fuck off. So I'm reported. And I've been noticing certain censorship on Telegram. So how easy it will be to port this app to another chatting app?
It's probably it would have to be done from scratch again, because what I did, I just changed the existing Telegram web client, which is made specifically for Telegram server. It would probably have to do from scratch if you wanted to use some other service other than Telegram. But I mean, I think if you cannot do direct messages, I think you could still here the only thing you can do is that someone needs to create a group, and then you do the messages in the group. So for the sake of breakout groups, I hope that this limitation of not being able to make direct messages might not prevent from using.
Yeah, it doesn't interfere with the Fractalgram app, but it just incentivizes me to try to leave Telegram and to. So I was thinking. Okay, great, thank you.
Have you tried to contact Telegram support?
Yeah, I have. They didn't answer. Like 2 months ago, I did.
Via email?
No, they have a bot in which you write the complaint. I did.
Try again. Like, keep trying. Like, they have to figure it out.
Okay, right. Thank you.
Thank you, Jorge and Rosemary, for the ideas. Yeah, I hope you can get that figured out. I know sometimes the permission settings on Telegram can be a bit tricky, so perhaps you could look into that as well. I also saw the DOS. I don't know if the DOS reached out to Telegram, but I saw like a note on the official Telegram channel introducing. I think it was the official Telegram channel. It was introducing Fractalgram. Did you reach out to support DOS to get that featured there, or did I see that wrong?
No, that Telegram channel, it's not actually the real Telegram channel. It's what Telegram web app is using to notify of new versions or some additional things. So it's not sent by Telegram. It was being used for by Telegram web client to notify of new versions. So I thought I will use that same chat to notify of Fractalgram new versions. But yeah, that was composed by me.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. I thought maybe you're doing some major marketing for Fractalgram right out of the bat. But yeah, sounds great. Thank you, Sudas. Does anybody have any other questions for Sudas about how it works? And then we'll go questions first. If anybody has any questions, and then after that, if anybody has any other reactions, I see Patrick has his hands up. Patrick, what do you think?
First, shout out to Tadas for this beautiful app. Two remarks. First remark, it will be possible to parameterize that the poll, the level 6, 5, 4, when you have the participant into the breakout room appearing, and that you have to vote for them, that you don't see on the top who has voted for, so an anonymous poll, because we were experiencing into my room, for example, I was the first pushing the button and voting for someone, and then you have some like biased behavior maybe for the next one to vote, because they know already that I have voted for someone. So we have a digital app, and we want to reduce the, let's say, the biased, let's say, decision. So I was thinking maybe that would be cool if we can have an anonymous where you don't see who has voted for. That was one point. The second point is about when the Telegram app is running into a breakout room, would be possible to have a timer into the app stating, okay, you have a 55 minutes for a breakout room, correct? It's 55 minutes, I think. So there will be like a countdown that you know how many times you have to speak, because now we will maybe move on from Zoom, correct? We will go with this Telegram. Not yet, I say for the future. So Dan, not yet for sure, but I see you. But if we want to go more with Telegram, because I think it's beautiful, if we could have a kind of a countdown, how many times you have. By the way, we had a good time into our room. We have more time to be cool and to speak about other things when the vote was finished. That was very beautiful. We have had a great time. So that's all for me.
Yeah, so I will try to reply. So regarding the countdown, it's of course the right idea, but I would do it after we move to Telegram, if we ever move to Telegram, because I think the timer should be integrated with the tool which is generating the breakout rooms, because then we would know the actual time, how much is left. And regarding the anonymous polls, it's possible to do anonymous polls in Telegram. It wouldn't be hard for me to do, but for me it's actually not obvious. It would make things better. I mean, in some cases, it is useful to know that some specific person has not voted yet. It's more useful than knowing that 4 out of 5 people have voted, but you don't know who hasn't voted. So ultimately, the way I see it, what's important is that we reach consensus, and it's supposed to just help reach consensus, not determine consensus. And I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you after this explanation. Yeah. What to not do anonymous indeed. Because I was focused just on the fact that maybe you have a biased then vote, but there is not only this aspect to see, and we want the things deterministic. So this process has to be deterministic. So like you did, it's good to see the people. I am just changing my my view with this explanation. Thank you. Nice job. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Thanks to Das. And yeah, I agree. There is already some level of like you don't see the person who votes until you vote yourself. So there's already that built in by automatic by default. And then there is an option for admins to click on anonymous vote. I tested a little bit, and it does make it a bit more anonymous. So thank you. And Douglas?
Yeah, I just wanted to share a thought I had in the meeting. One thing about like the original Fractally meetings that I liked is there was a lot of precedent to ask people to either clarify what they did, like what their contributions were, or to have like a brief summary of 2 people if somebody forgot in the event of a non-consensus. And I just wanted to plant the idea of either a verbal sort of what would be the word, procedure. I don't know if it would need to be like a written procedure or something like that, but how we can cultivate a quick discussion using the non-anonymous version. Because I noticed in my group, like when there was this sort of split, we were just kind of either quiet or not really sort of avoiding the topic of a debate or a clarification. And then I was just like watching these votes kind of change without any real input, which makes me think it's almost like more of a social thing that isn't accounted for, where we're watching what other people are doing and then reacting only on the metric of how we see other people voting. So how can we make the metric in which we change our vote based upon a higher context of information that is gathered in a natural way?
Great feedback. Great question. Thank you, Douglas. I have a couple of thoughts about that. Tadas, do you want to share a response?
Yeah, just to reply that I noticed that too. I think it's kind of useful when you have to reach consensus quickly when you don't have a lot of time, when it's sensible for people to do that. But yeah, if we want more accurate, try to get more accurate rankings out of respect for people, it makes sense to ask for more reasons to change the vote, so to say.
Thanks, Douglas and Tadas. If you have any further comments on that, Douglas, I'd be interested to hear it. Also, one thing that I can add too, I had asked Tadas about the relationship between this and the tool that Plaid is building. Plaid's building tools with Matthias and Lenar, and they're building a system that's sort of similar to the system with WebRTC that the Fractally team was building. And I think that they might be looking into using that interface that the Fractally team was designing, where you could move like kind of drag and drop the rankings in the bottom of the screen. I'm not sure exactly, but these tools can both offer different benefits, and that might also help achieve what you were saying there, Douglas. Might be worth considering. If there's no further comments from Das and Douglas, first I'll just say we've been in here for about a half hour or so. So if we do want to, within the hour of discussions, if we want to get to the proposals that I shared for topics and topics shared for topics about using the Telegram chat more and proxy delegate votes, then we may want to move on topics pretty soon. Let us know if you'd like to talk about this more, or if you'd like to do different topics. One of my topics is actually about how to let us know. So, but anyway, I'll pass it on to Marco now. Marco, what do you think?
Real quick on solve on anonymous thing first. I just say there's reasons for both. And I won't go into it anymore because I know the community here favors the anonymous. I'll say putting it on a timer. I don't know if it would be easy to get the average time, but we could estimate stuff. I don't think it'd probably be too hard to put on a timer where it switches from anonymous to being able to see things, see the votes. So if the community's having trouble getting it anonymously, getting consensus anonymously, then it would just revert and show, and then it would be able to identify where the consensus is not being reached. And you know, as it progresses, maybe adding more options into the consensus, because after all, that's what the idea was behind the book. It was let the group come to consensus in its own way. But yeah, starting off anonymous and then going into being able to see everybody would probably be the quickest fix.
Sounds good. Good points. Thank you, Marco, for the feedback. And I see that Perry has hands up. Perry, what do you think?
Well, overall, it's a huge step forward for the process. So 100% positive in that respect. But an important question that I have, and it relates to some of the things that I've been talking about before, is what happens if all of a sudden that app starts to have like a special affinity for some members in our group and their projects? In other words, what if links start showing up, or ads, or integrations? If we vote for it today, are we voting for an open door for everything in the future, or how is that going to work? I'm not saying I have the answers, but I definitely, that is definitely a concern for the sanctity of decentralization, which I hope we all have in our hearts when we are participating in all of this.
Thanks, Barry, for sharing your thoughts. One quick note before I pass on to Das is there's not an active proposal right now. This is just a tool that you can use. This is just a topic. So anybody's free to use this tool, but there's no proposal for the whole group to switch over to anything like that. I saw Das raise his hand. So Das, would you like to reply?
Yeah, wanted to say the same thing, and I'm of the same opinion as Marco, that the breakout group, it's up to the breakout group to determine how we want to reach consensus. And in my mind, that includes what tools to use. And that's why I did not create any proposal for us to formally choose to use this tool. I don't see the need to do that. It could be kind of waste of time, in my opinion. We can simply use it. Now, if I have some plans to upgrade this app so that it could generate breakout rooms as well. Now, in that case, if it starts generating breakout rooms for us all, then in my mind, that affects the whole group, and then we would need to pass it as a proposal. So as of right now, Perry, I don't think it's relevant, like what you're concerned about regarding this app specifically.
Okay, so the group uses the tool at its convenience, at its choice, and you maintain control of it, and you might say, well, I can do whatever I want with it. I can put links on it. It's my tool, and so that, you know, then I have to ask questions if it may or may not be open source. Who's going to control the code? How do I know that is not being manipulated in the background? I'm not speaking of you personally. I'm just trying to think of beyond our group, of other groups trying to use these kind of tools, and what would be their concerns?
Yeah, these are the right concerns. come from a developer perspective. I can see so to reply specifically about this tool, it's totally open source and it's a single page application. So, and it means that it's very easy to deploy. There are plenty of services where you can deploy single page applications freely. You can do it on GitHub pages, for example. So for most developers, it would be pretty easy and it would not cost anything to fork my tool and create a new deployment of it with a new URL, and then the group can start using that tool. So
when I start a room, let's say I created a room just like you did in our room, and I assume it's just the regular room creation process. How do I install that bot or that program, the Fractalgram, in that particular room? How do I call it? How do I install it, instantiate it in that particular room?
You don't need to instantiate it in the particular room. Basically, you can create these polls that I created in any Telegram group, which has between 3 to 6 members.
So how do I call it though? How do I call it up and like begin using that poll so that when somebody responds to this comment, the poll comes up? Is it just a regular poll?
Yeah, it's a regular poll. Like I tried to show in the demonstration, it's not automatically that the polls come up. It's me creating them through an additional button, and it creates a regular Telegram messages, which you, like I say, you could create these same messages through normal Telegram client. This specific app just automate.
Perry, before we go again, I'll just provide a bit of additional information I think will be helpful here. So one, as I mentioned before, Tadas released a blog post introducing Fractalgram. I'd certainly recommend that you check that out if you haven't already. I think it would help answer a lot of the questions. I'll briefly share the screen, but it has instructions for how to start it. So I just started it for the first time. There's this fractalgram.web.app that you can log into in a web browser, and then you just need to sync or log in with your Telegram account, and then he provides instructions here. Log in using the account, create a new Telegram group. He has nice GIFs too, where it shows exactly how to do it, and then you create an account, and it has a poll system here too. So it's quite easy and quite intuitive. And then also regarding your question about the open source too, I also, if you scroll up a little bit, then and I can copy and paste again because it got a little bit. There's other posts, but there is a GitHub where you can see Tadas's GitHub repository for this as well. So
okay, so I'll definitely take a look at that. But as a user, let's say I'm a user of this thing. I'm logging on. I've gone into a room, and somebody has initiated the room, and they've initiated this poll. As a voter, as a participant, how do I verify where the code is coming from, where this is actually happening? And yeah,
good question. So the way I see it, you shouldn't care about who is creating the messages and how. What you should do is check the actual polls and what results are shown to you by your Telegram client, and the final results message. Most importantly, you should not. Like I said, this tool is not supposed to determine our consensus. It's supposed to help us reach it. So at the final step, you should look at the rankings which are in the message and only submit through the link if you agree.
Well, the problem is that it gives us the view results, and it shows other people voting, how they voted. And if that's being manipulated by code that is not, it's not clearly associated with the room, that's an attack.
Yeah, but it's supposed to, the only way to manipulate it is for Telegram servers to manipulate it. Like,
How do you know that as somebody sitting in the room? How do you know that that code is the one that's being used by the owner of that group that was just created?
Actually, this is one of the things blockchain can just do. It really doesn't matter if you know the accounts. You know the accounts, and you're not the first one to submit. You got it.
That's true. Thanks, Marco. Yeah, as somebody said, I think Vlad or Douglas said, you can check the transactions. So anybody who's in these groups, like I know pretty much everybody's EOS accounts here, so I can tell that it's outputting correctly. I want to hear from Tadas. If Tadas, you have a response to Perry there, I'll also add too that, I mean, for one thing, we can discuss Fractalgram in future times too. We don't need to necessarily figure out, all the details about it right now. And I think it would be great if we can get to the proposals or the topics that myself and Patrick shared as well. So I'll put that out there. That sounds good with you, Perry. Tadashi, you want to respond to what Perry said and any final comments about Fractalgram? If everybody wants to discuss Fractalgram more too, then I'm happy to go into more detail, but I just want to help to moderate it so we can get to these other topics as well, because I think that we have some other great topics on the agenda as well.
Yeah, I think we can move on to the next topic. We could still discuss it with Perry probably, but Perry, feel free to re-ask this question in the Fractalgram Telegram chat. I think Dan shared it in the Zoom chat. I will share it again. It's a group for discussing Telegram feedback and so on.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Sounds great. Well, thank you very much, Perry. I really appreciate all of the insightful questions and thinking about the details from all different angles. That's very valuable. And thank you, of course, to Das for the insights and Marco for sharing your thoughts. Does anybody have any other thoughts that you want to share about Fractalgram before we move on to the next topic? And if not, going once, going twice, going three times up. I see Jorge has a hand up. Jorge?
Yeah, would it be possible to, once, for example, level 6 is chosen, the next poll doesn't show that person because all 6 persons are appearing at every level, so it adds for a lot of noise in the consequent steps.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Yeah, that's a good question. I thought about it, but currently it would be a bit of work to do, and what I want to keep is the ability for people to change their votes at all time, and maybe even getting back to the poll which we already voted on and switching vote there. But then you already have, if you already have a poll for level 4, and then people change their vote on poll 6, then the message for poll 4 should be modified, and then that creates kind of complications. So technically there would be a bit of a challenge, so to say, to implement.
Or at least highlight the people that had already been chosen so that visually it becomes easier.
Yeah, that would be a bit easier.
So you're keeping it open the way the original Fractal app came with
Vlad also wrote, during the creation of the poll, there's also an option to manually delete users. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but that might help. And then also notice too, it has it built in where somebody can't be ranked twice. So like if you rank somebody level 6 already, and then you do try to do it again for level 5, then I think that it won't output correctly. Not exactly sure it works, but I think that also to some extent helps resolve that issue. Okay, great. Thanks, Jorge, for that question once again. I suppose I'll leave a few minutes open if anybody wants to share any more thoughts about, or just a few moments open rather, if anybody wants to share any thoughts about Fractalgram. And then if not, then I'll go into my presentation about using the Telegram live chat, which I think can work quite nicely with Fractalgram. Okay, cool. Sounds good. Thank you, Perry. And yeah, once again, I encourage everybody to join the Telegram group that Tadas shared in there. And also you can join the Eden Fractal Telegram group too and message about that as well too. And if we want to have more discussions, I'm sure there's going to be a lot to discuss about Fractalgram. I'm stoked about it in so many ways. So we can discuss that in future meetings if anyone wants to propose that as a topic again. And I highly encourage everybody to try it out and play with it. And in your next room or next week's meeting and future week's meeting, try logging in and using it, because I think that it makes the process much better and much more intuitive and much more welcoming for people and much easier in so many ways. So thank you so much once again to Das. I'll share my screen now. First, I'll just give a brief overview. Well, first off, we're about 15 minutes away from the formal end of the hour of the delegates' hour meeting and Cagendas. But again, we're not doing proposals here. So actually, Patrick's is a proposal. I just realized I thought it was a topic. My apologies for confusing that, Patrick. I can go and share mine briefly in like just a few minutes, and we can get into Patrick. If you do want the delegates to vote on it, Patrick, and you think it could be quick, then I'd be willing to let you go first. But I think it might make the most sense if I go first, because it's quite related to Telegram. So I'll do that, and I'll be quick about it. And so here's my screen that you can see now. So these are the topics we just discussed. Fractalgram, and my topic was, should we discuss the Telegram chat, using the Telegram chat instead of the Zoom chat during meetings, and facilitating Cagendas with Telegram polls. So you can see a plan for this and several benefits of using Telegram during our meetings at edencreators.com/chat. And one big benefit is that it can help us understand when community members want to move on to the next topic during Cagendas, kind of like how we're just doing here. I was trying to get a feel for if people want to talk more about Fractalgram, or if people want to talk more the next topic. We had an experience last week too, where several community members wanted to move forward, and Perry also wanted to ask more questions. So I feel like this can help us determine what the community members want and get a better feel for the community. And so it can help people vote on proposals more efficiently and make us be able to process more proposals and view more proposals on topic each week. So it's quite an easy change. I put together an article here at edencreators.com/chart. I put some art together, or I just found some free public domain art with like Telegram kind of logos and flying paper airplanes. Basically, I think that it's a good idea to enable the topics feature in the Eden Fractal Telegram group. This feature was just recently released, and it enables it to work kind of like Discord, where you can make several different topics or different channels within the Telegram group. So rather than having one big list, we can have several different kind of channels of chats. And the chat that I would create is for live chat during meetings, sort of similar to how, say, during the EOS Fireside Chats, there's a separate chat for meeting chat, or during the Eden Chief Delegate calls, there's a separate chat for discussions about the meeting. So it's quite new, and I'm open to feedback. It could change. I've just been thinking about this. I've been thinking a lot over the past few weeks about how to do this better. And I think this is a very simple solution that would work quite well, actually. I think it'd provide a lot of big benefits to the community. So I outlined some of the benefits here. The first benefit that I focused on is helping to facilitate agendas, which is what I mentioned about getting a better read on what the community wants and enabling a simple way for delegates and community members to express that they want to move on to the next topic. So myself as a moderator, or anybody else who's a moderator, can take that into account and provide a better experience for the delegates. And then I also provided some other benefits like persistent chat, like the chat sticks around, as opposed to the Zoom chat, composable linkable chats where people can link to different chat messages and so forth, and multimedia chat. You can do multimedia like videos and images and GIFs and so forth. We could potentially share the live screen too to make more engaging videos. It also helps to promote the Telegram group to have growth in social media and provide more opportunities for people to connect with the community later on. And it can synergize with Fractalgram, and it can also be potentially upgradable, but it's also very easy to use. I see, Marco, you raise your hand. I'll just briefly just give a quick overview here. I'll also set a link in the chat too, and then I'll get to your thoughts in a moment, Marco. Thank you for your interest. Yeah, so basically the idea is for facilitating agendas. I think that we can do a simple system where if we have this separate topic that we always use, and rather than using the Zoom chat for all of our messages, we just use Telegram instead. And one of the major benefits of this is we could put our polls in Telegram. So basically at 16 UTC, right at the start of the meeting every week, we could take the polls that are on consortium and just manually copy and paste them over. We could potentially pin them too so people can see it. And then everybody knows the order in Telegram. And then when we're discussing topics, like say, for example, if we're discussing Fractalgram or MSIG change or whatever it is, then I'll say to the delegates, if you're ready to move on to the next topic, then give it a zing. give it and you know the what do you call it, the Thunderbolt emoji. You can respond or react with the Thunderbolt emoji in Telegram. So I'll say, delegates, if you're ready to move on to the next topic, give it that topic a Thunderbolt emoji, and then you can see, oh, if Tadas and Jorge and Perry are all delegates and they all give it a Thunderbolt emoji, then you can tell, okay, those 3 delegates want to move on, and then we could do that to be able to tell better. In previous weeks, I tried saying, let me know, or put it in the Zoom chat. I think this is a way where you can easily have a simple way where delegates can signal that they want to move on to the next topic or proposal. And of course, delegates can also vote on the proposal in Telegram too, to make it a bit easier to count votes and put it into the spreadsheet. I'm also planning to ask people who aren't delegates to react with a Christmas tree if they want to move, a Christmas tree emoji if they want to move on to the next topic. That way, everybody can signal their intent, but we can see it differently if it's a delegate or a non-delegate. And I'll take that into account as a moderator, or anybody else who's a moderator in the future. I would encourage them to also take that into account to be able to enable delegates to pass proposals that they want, and also to move on to topics that they want. Also, this is all open to changes. If we want to use different emojis, then we can, but I thought those were cool emojis. And basically, I think that this will help us know when community members want to move on to the next topic, increase our capacity to process proposals faster, and help us cooperate more effectively to play agendas better. And then there's also more benefits here. I mentioned about persistent chat. Basically, it makes it difficult to see the chat, and basically we lose all the chats in Telegram or in the Zoom chat. We can find them technically, but on Telegram, it's already there. It's easy for everybody to see, so people can easily see the chats during the meeting afterwards. It's also linkable and composable, so we could respond to specific messages and link specific messages and so forth. If, for example, right now we just shared Tadas's link to the open source code, so people could see that and we can link to it in the Telegram chat. It's also got way more multimedia features. The Zoom chat's pretty basic. It just has chat features, and you can kind of like embed an image, but Telegram is much better. You can embed full videos and all sorts of stuff. We could also share the live screen or the live chat screen. Of course, I'd want to probably check with everybody to see if this is cool, but I think it's a good idea. Like a lot of times live streamers and YouTubers, they share the live chat, and that can be a way for community members to be more expressive. Even if you're not saying something, you can share an emoji or share a GIF or write your thoughts, and then we potentially share the screen for the videos. And every time that we invite people to the Fractal, the Telegram chat, it's a way to help grow the community and make it easier for people to connect. And then plus, since we're using Fractalgram, there's also the upvote bot. It can be helpful to have it all in one spot for new participants and make it more seamless. And then there's potential to upgrade it with different bots like the EOSB's bot, or AI bots like ChatGPT, or different improvements that Tadas might want to make. So that's basically it. I'm happy to go into more details about this and very curious to hear what you think. Once again, this is at edencreators.com/chat, and I think it's a pretty simple change that we could make that would provide a lot of benefits. So I see a lot of upside in it, and curious to hear everybody's thoughts. So Marco, do you want to go first?
Yeah, no, I like it. I'm glad we're discussing that now. I'll just say an ecosystem or world channel, because we're solving things that Eden Genesis is trying to solve. So just to have that there, and then any other fractal is welcome to jump into that ecosystem world chat, just to welcome the future. But I'm good with moving on to the next thing.
Sounds great. Thank you, Marco. And yeah, it opens the door so we can make many different topics too if we want. If we want to make a topic for a welcome, a topic for proposals, all sorts of different things, then we can do that in the Telegram channel once I enable that feature. Cool. Another thing I'll announce too, well, one, I'll just say we have 7 minutes left. So I don't know, Patrick, but before we end this, if you want to just share your proposal quickly, and then we can, or however much time you think it would take. I'm sorry that we didn't perhaps have very much time to talk about it during the first hour, but I'm happy to pass over to you if you want to do that right now, and then we can come back to my discussion with the live chat afterwards. If we'd like to. We got a thumbs up from Patrick. Also, I'll mention too, we have the next Eden Fractal Brainstorming session coming up on next Tuesday at 16 UTC, which I think Patrick might mention too, and Patrick's proposal might be related to it. And then also we have an update for the 5th Eden Fractal update coming on the Nova Crypto YouTube channel, coming out in next month too, with I think Tadas, Patrick, myself, and Vlad. So thank you very much, Patrick, for all the great work. And I'm curious to hear more thoughts about my topic, but first I'll pass it over to Patrick to introduce his proposal.
Thank you, Dan, for the nice presentation about the Telegram path going on. Maybe I think it's a good thing for the cooperation, for the collaboration, and for the moderation. So that's a win-win-win. So now about my proposal, it's just a signal I made into the consortium. I never do proposal until now, outside of the MSIG for sure. But I am not the guy to do proposal because first I am not writing well. That's an art to do a nice proposal and well written. But my intent with the proxy, just to be very short, we have addressed the proxy concept on November last year into hidden fractal brainstorming session when I was with Dancing Joy, Vlad, Tadas, Lenny also. And by discussing into a brainstorming session, we were thinking, I was coming with the idea that basically when you are into the breakout room and you are going as a delegate, so today into my breakout room, for example, I have been leveled 2 because I would like to be leveled 2 because for my behavior this last week's not as I love. So I was leveled 2. I was okay with that. And then when that was the time to be a delegate, I raised my hand and I say, okay, I will be a delegate for this time. And imagine that I could say into my breakout room, okay, I proxy my delegate. Okay, I will speak very easy. Let's say I say into my breakout room, I want in case that I cannot attend, I have an impeachment or something, that someone else into my breakout room can be also, let's say, my replace, my backup in case that I cannot be, that I have an impeachment, for example. We said proxy, but to be very clear, someone else into your breakout room that would love to be also a delegate. I saw that, for example, into my breakout room, someone else maybe will be. I can say into my breakout room, okay, I accept that you are also maybe my proxy in case that I am not able. And that should not only be into the breakout room, that could go not limit only to the breakout room, that could go also to proxy anyone. Let's say when you are into the main room, like Marco was doing the last week, I think, Marco, that's right. He was a delegate, if I am not wrong, and he passed to Eric Westrich here. That was beautiful when I was showing that, because I was thinking, okay, I am not going with wrong. It's not about wrong or true. To be wrong or good. It's about to do the things intelligently. So I was thinking about that, and I wrote this proposal very shortly, and it is not well phrased. I will redo that for next meeting, 38. There is no rush with that. And when I say into my proposal that we have maybe to brainstorm that, it's all what is brainstorming session, the hidden fractal brainstorming session. That's brainstorming activities. That's a concept that I was birthed already in February last year when there was the Fractally meeting on the Saturday. I was coming with this idea, Jesse and Dan and Tadas for the first time I met there about albedo doing proposal, and there was not yet consortium at this time. We don't use the consortium at this time, and we brainstormed because we would discuss between us like great human and coming with nice ideas. So those brainstorming session is just a tool to help communities to go into the complexity of the proposal. So I think this proposal of proxy, I say it's an immediate because I classified a little bit the proposal. There are immediate proposal where you say, do you agree to change the MSIG? So here the question is, do you agree to consider the proxy? Then the how it will be exactly made, that's a good place to go into a brainstorming session and to dive into the complexity of something, because I don't want to anticipate the how before to have answer to the why, to the why, or let's say to the traction. If there is enough traction for this proposal, we will consider it and we will move on. I will not want to be the decider on anything. I just want to help the communities, and that's all. I will be no more too much discussing about that, because I think the best place to discuss about that, it's here into the between us, or for the people that are accepting to join the brainstorming session, that's open to everyone. So just to make a little last thing, the brainstorming session is not a meeting to replace the hidden fractal meeting. That's totally complementary. That's to help us to go into the complexity of the things. And I have made that with Dancing Joy, that accepted to be a co-host into this, like he accepted to be a co-host into the Hidden Fractal update that will be on March 23rd during the Antelope Swiss workshop number 19 that I do every 2 months since 2020. 19 episodes already, and that was rebranded Antelope because before that was EOS.io. And now we have 5 updates that will be recorded, that will be on YouTube. The people can watch that at any time. The same for the brainstorming session that's recorded, and like Dan is doing here, he record also the Hidden Fractal meeting. So I think we are just working between us and doing the best experience possible, and to collaborate, to cooperate, to have a better moderation, and all this stuff. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Thank you for all that you're doing and sharing this proposal with us too. We are at the hour right now. So I would say, well, first off, we're right at the hour. So if we want to just call a quick delegate vote for this immediate proposal, I would vote yes to consider to go forward with it as a process. I don't think we necessarily need to all come to consensus to consider to go forward with it. We can certainly talk about it at the brainstorming session either way, but I'll vote yes on it right now, and I'm happy to discuss it after. Would any other delegates like to vote to consider this?
I am just laughing to Rosemary with the last comment.
I don't understand what.
No, she has written. It was like the president's speech. No, it's not about that. But yeah, I see the point. I see the point. Yeah. Thank you, Rosemary. Thank you.
I'll vote with the caveat that all delegation will be finalized during the delegate hour. So you can do it in the room or you can do it after, but within the delegate hour, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, interesting point. Thanks, Marco. And yeah, I also have some thoughts too. So just to be clear, I'm not approving that we just do it right now. I think that we need to have a brainstorming discussion to figure out, all the details about how it works. But I'm just saying, yes, I'm definitely open and looking forward to considering it. So I see Perry has his hands up. I mean, we're a couple minutes over. I don't know if we need to try to pass a proposal. And I suppose going with Tadas's feedback, we should just respect the time limit and just say that we won't pass it. But I think everybody's probably open to considering it. But if any other delegates want to just voice their opinion and just show their support for considering it, then now would be a great time. And I see Perry has his hands up too. So I'll pass it to Perry now.
So we were deciding whether to consider it, whether to talk about it. That's one. And then the other is, where are we going to talk about it? And what is the significance of that discussion in relation to this group right here? In other words, if we talked about it enough in Eden Fractal brainstorming meeting, is that a substitute for discussion here in this particular group? I think that's a subtle but super important point that we need to understand. Otherwise, people who show up regularly to this group and think that they're participating in decentralized governance in Eden Fractal actually aren't, unless they're in those other meetings. And if that's the case, then let's just say so. And let's make those meetings mandatory for at least the delegates that need to vote for those particular items. But the way it stands at the moment, it seems like we have these extra meetings, but it's not really required, yet discussions are supposedly already had there. So I think we need a little bit of an adjustment.
All right. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. Hold on just one moment, please, Patrick. There's lots of things you said. There are lots of questions. Before we pass to Patrick, I know that Tadashi has hands up first. Tadashi is also a delegate. So if Tadashi, you want to share any thoughts about Patrick's proposal, then I would love to hear it.
No, I had a thought, but then had to reconsider it. So
okay, cool. So sounds good. Thanks, Tadas. And I'll also just make a couple of notes here too. So that concludes the hour of Cagendas that we have scheduled. So now we'll have an open discussion. Thank you everybody so much for being here and all the great work. There was a couple great comments before, so that was a pretty funny one with the president's speech. Thanks once again, Patrick, for the great speech. Glad in response to my topic, he said, sounds good. I switched to Telegram, and Jorge said, this community is getting more awesome by the day. So I completely agree. I'm like in awe of what everybody's doing here. So thank you so much. If anybody has to go, then of course you're welcome to go whenever, or you can listen along. We'll probably be here for some more time. We'll probably wrap up the video, I guess, within a half hour or so. We can play it by ear and see what works best. We also did, thank you, Eric. We also did talk about, there's been a lot of discussion that we've had in the Telegram chat that Perry's been asking questions about the role of the brainstorming sessions. So I'm looking forward to hearing Patrick's response and getting more into that too. Another option too, I would love to hear more feedback about the Telegram live chat idea I shared too. So if there's no objections to that, then I'll probably start this week, and I think it'll be helpful. I don't need more feedback necessarily, but if anybody has any additional feedback, I'd love to hear that too. And so we have a couple of different directions we can go in if we want to discuss that. But first, I suppose, so Perry asked a bunch of questions, and thank you, Patrick, for being patient. And would you like to respond to some of Perry's thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I was raising my hand and I was putting my hands down because I was thinking what to say more. But I am okay to answer very short and wise and with all my heart, soul, and mind. Then Dan, you will maybe share some links. I want to answer not to Perry. I want to answer for everyone that is watching this, what we are doing what is the goal of the brainstorming session that is named brainstorming activities. The brainstorming session is a declination of brainstorming activities expressly for Hidden Fractal that I have launched in 15 November 2022. And there was an article on Bywire that could be also on Medium, but I choose to put on Bywire. My lovely friend, Michael O'Sullivan, shout out to you, Michael, shout out. I was doing an article there to explain what is the intent. Before I do something, I explain in generally always what is the intent, what I do. Like this, I can see me into a window in 1 year or two and connecting the dots backward, why I was doing that. And I can dream of that and I can sleep very peaceful. So the answer is very, very easy. The answer is, I want to help the community. A declination, a variant, if you prefer. I am not good with my English, sorry. So don't be focused on the words or the dictionary, but be focused on the intent of the man behind something and be more peaceful. So the intent of this brainstorming session, as the name implies, we want to dive into something complex to brainstorm about that. And into Hidden Fractal, we have signaling of proposals. And those proposals, we are signaling where on consortium. Then when we are into the main room, we either vote directly for this proposal of the meeting of the topic number. Now we are at 36, next week 37. So either we vote because that's so clear when it is, for example, like today, an immediate proposal, do you consider to discuss about the proxy? The answer is yes, we consider to speak about that. There was also an MSIG. Do you consider to update the MSIG? The answer was at the supermajority, yes. Then, when you want to discuss about the technicalities, the details, and the how of the thing, you have not the time to do that here into 1 hour main room. We see how the time is going fast, and today, beautiful, moderated, and all that was perfect today. Shout out. But just to say, in 1 hour, you have just the time to signal something. You have just the time to discuss about a theme, and that's all. You have not the time really to brainstorm. So I was thinking, okay, I will go with this brainstorming session, and I asked Dan, Tadas, Vlad, and Lenny, or other also, and Marco was joining. Thank you. I was asking, okay, do you see a value added to do that, this brainstorming session? And the answer was yes. And it is recorded on my YouTube. That's published on my YouTube, Nova Crypto. That could be published on the Hidden Creator YouTube of Dan. I was speaking about that with Dan at the really very beginning. Do you want that we release the video there? And he was stating to me, no, Patrick, that's your ID, that's your show. Let's put that on Nova Crypto. And I say, okay. So yes, I am totally open. There is no replacement of this hidden fractal meeting. As I said many times in this meeting, or Dan also, to remind the people that we have hidden fractal brainstorming session. Then if the people are joining, great. If they are not joining, great also. And by the way, it's recorded, all timestamped. There is a mind map also. And this mind map is to help hidden fractal. And soon the mind maps are on chain on the EOS mainnet. That's beautiful. That will be all on chain. I will not discuss in detail now from that. I will unveil when the time comes. That's beautiful. So I am excited what we are doing, and I don't see any capture or violation or other words that I have already heard. And to be honest, I am tired to hear about that. So that's why I will live with that. And people that want to make any conspiration or violation of capture, they are welcome. I will answer like I answer now. That's why I say sometimes I am okay to be the Pat Novabat, not in the bad way, to establish the true and put the church into the middle of the town or the village, if you prefer. So I am not only the Joker, I am also Pat Novabat, Pat Nova Joy sometimes. So now I live with that, and up to the remark of Marco or other here. No problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat Novabat / Pat Novajoy / Patrick. I appreciate a lot of things you're doing. I'll pass it on to Marco in a second and then Perry, but first I want to share some thoughts. One, I want to say a huge thank you to you, Patrick, for hosting and organizing these brainstorming sessions. I shared a couple links in the chat. One was the first Bywire article that you posted about the proof of concept a few months ago when we first started. And I also posted the edenclears.com/brainstorming link where I've been working to curate some of the links and all the videos and stuff like that. I see that Pascal also right, brainstorming sessions are good and useful. It's not a consensus-making mechanism, and it's not aiming to replace Eden Fractal. I agree. This has been a big discussion. If anybody hasn't been following the Eden Fractal Telegram chat, I recommend Perry's. So I really appreciate Perry being very inquisitive and very curious and quite skeptical in nature. I think that's really, really valuable and important. I wrote quite a bit in the Telegram, so I haven't had a chance to share it yet, but I'll share it soon. But I also think that what Patrick is doing is really helpful and not compromising security of the group. I agree with a lot of things that Das and Vlad were saying in response to you, Perry, although I think it's a very nuanced issue and it's a good thing to explore for sure. I also want to say Patrick has been hosting these along with Jesse, as he mentioned, set back since February. That's where I met Das and many other people. So it's been really helpful for a long time. Another thing I've been thinking too, this past week, Perry, I was thinking about, if you noticed this past week, I did a new thing with the town hall where I invited Chris beforehand because Chris had mentioned meeting, and I'm thinking about scheduling topics in advance of the week for the town hall. And I was thinking about reaching out to Perry and Patrick to see if we wanted to have a discussion about it there. I don't know if we'd like to, but we could potentially focus on brainstorming. And I'd also like to just extend that offer to everybody in the community. Like I also reached out to Das if he wanted to feature Fractalgram on the town hall, or if Jorge wants to talk about the Spanish fractal, or if Dwayne wants to talk about what he's doing with Alien Worlds, or Pascal wants to talk about the Algorithm. I'm happy to help use that show that I'm hosting to help facilitate these discussions. And perhaps for deeper discussions like this, it might be helpful to discuss in a longer format. But yeah, I just wanted to share some of my thoughts there. I'd also be very interested too, if anybody does have any additional feedback of the live chat idea. I'd love to hear any ways to improve it, or if you guys think it's a good idea in general. But anyway, I'll pass it on to Marco now. So far regarding the live chat idea, it looks like Tadas having a great time. I don't know what Tadas is laughing about. I guess Tadas is doing a private chat with somebody probably. But yeah, if anybody has any feedback about the live chat idea, please let me know if there's any way we think we can improve it. If you think the idea of zings are cool and helpful, then I'd love to hear it. But so far, I think we had some positive feedback from Patrick, Marco, and Vlad. So I think that's good enough to go ahead, but would love to hear it. Patrick, I see you raising your hand. I'll pass on to Marco in a moment, but it seems like Patrick is burning, as he would say.
I just making some tests with Tadas in behind the scene on the Zoom capabilities, very wired, and that's make a lot of sense to go with Telegram. So welcome Fractalgram. So happy.
Sounds great. Awesome. Thanks. And yeah, I agree. I'm very excited about Telegram. Marco, you have some thoughts you'd like to share?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, so there's going to be some aviation stuff, but tied totally into what you're saying. But before that, love the idea of the live thing. I've been calling for more Telegram stuff, and we finally have a tool for it. So blockchain. How more skeptical can you get if you take off on an airplane, you're flying over, you don't see, you're not sure where you're over. If you're not looking over the map, you're looking down, you don't know which country you're in from just looking around. And then you get a call on the radio and say you're breaking the law. You follow the perfect flight plan, everything like that. You follow all the rules, and somebody just decided to change it on a whim. That's what blockchain prevents. There's a lot of things that blockchain can be, but what blockchain does is it finalizes stuff, and that's the stuff we need to focus on. So regardless of what's going on, when we submit that stuff, when it goes on chain, it's done. That's what we're looking at. So when you use a Fractalgram and then it takes you over to the app where it says, yeah, baby, well, at that point, maybe you want to consider the blockchain, and maybe it could be an automated, once you hit that, you reach all consensus for all 6 people, there's a test that goes into blocks.io or just on chain. And it's not official, but it just shows that it's there. This is what's printed. Instead of the yeah baby screen, although I like that, it's still nice. So then you can just verify things, you don't have to worry about anything. But that's the final stuff. Everything else gets skipped. Blockchain is so advanced that it cuts so much stuff out. And one of the things that, other things I like to bring up, let me just tell you this little story, how concerned people are and how irrational they get in things. Imagine you're an experienced pilot who's flying for several years, and you're now faced with the decision. Do I attempt to take off in this snowstorm, even though there's another, and I've told this story before here. There's another plane on the runway. I don't know if I can make it over them. It's a snowstorm, but if I don't begin my takeoff roll right now, I'm facing an administrative and probably firing and never working again. Or the death of everybody, including myself in the plane. Well, that's just what happened on an occasion because of that. Blockchain can end stuff like that. Now, to tell you how powerful it is, if you were to take ownership of, say, a car built in Japan and you lived in America, and you took that chain, you took that title and you put it on the blockchain, you were the only one who held the key to that. You bought the car right off the plant. The insurance would have to come to you to insurance since you own the title. That means from the delivery on the boat and all that, you're responsible for that. That's final stuff. That all the other stuff is cut out. So if we're still talking about stuff that doesn't finalize anything, we're not talking about blockchain, and we're not talking about the infrastructure.
Excellent points.
Love the live chat.
What was the last thing you said?
Love the live chat. I do.
Cool. Well, thank you for the support with the live chat and excellent thoughts too. I really appreciate Marco sharing a lot of great insights, and also love the aviation analogies as well. Several of us are out here in space, so we know it in a way. Perry, I saw Tadas has hands up too. Something you want to say first, Tadas? You got to go or something?
No, it's not important, but yeah, I have to go, so bye.
Okay, cool. Sounds great. Thanks so much, Tadas, and go Fractalgram. Perry?
Well, I want to respond to your proposal to start using Telegram as opposed to Zoom. I think that's a great idea. I think that makes us more receptive to programming, like what's going on from Tadas and Vlad. So that's a positive thing. We're just kind of opening ourselves up more to a programmable platform, which is what we want, because that's our bridge to the blockchain itself. And the point that I want to make regarding the brainstorming meetings, I'm not opposed to the idea of brainstorming meetings, because clearly we can't flush out all the ideas, all the details of an idea in the limited time that we have in these meetings. So I'm not against, in concept, the idea of a brainstorming meeting. What I'm suggesting is that if we're going to do that, then let's apply the same rigor to those meetings as we do here. In other words, Dan, you ask for consensus occasionally regarding your role as the host. Have we voted? If those meetings are going to take this spot, and if those meetings are going to be used as a justification to cut off discussion just before the vote, which is exactly what happened just recently, last week, then those meetings have to be brought into the fold and treated in the same manner that we're treating these meetings. If that's not the case, then they shouldn't be used as a justification to shut off discussion. That's my point. Because what happened last time is the discussion was shut off, and there was screaming and yelling, and we had already discussed it, and so that was just not becoming of this group.
Thanks, Perry, for sharing your thoughts. I just want to just briefly respond to that first. First of all, I don't think there was screaming and yelling. That might be a bit of an overstatement. I think we were fairly calm and civil, and overall, we had a good discussion.
You don't think at the moment just before the vote, when I asked to extend the discussion, you didn't hear people raising their voice? I think you need to review the video.
Okay, I'll listen to it again. I haven't had the chance to listen to it again, but I know it did get a bit hectic there, and we can certainly work better to be more calm and cooperate more gracefully. But I don't think that there was yelling. But anyway, a couple of points I wanted to make quickly. One thing I was going to suggest to you, Perry, too, that I forgot to mention is the opportunity to host more meetings. So Patrick has stepped up by hosting more meetings, by hosting these brainstorming sessions, and he also hosts the interviews that we do with the updates too. And I appreciate that a lot. And last week or 2 weeks ago, I encouraged people to do whatever they can to help the community. If you would be interested, Perry, or if anybody else would be interested to host more events, like host other sessions where we can talk, I think that would be great to have more people hosting events. I don't think that Patrick's one of the things you mentioned was the brainstorming session was used as a reason to cut off the vote. And I don't think that's accurate. I think what happened is that the reason why we stopped discussing it was because enough delegates wanted to vote on the proposal. And that's one of the things I was trying to resolve too.
They reached that in the brainstorming meeting, which was not announced to everybody else that that's what was going to happen.
So we did
something. Sorry, Dan.
All right. Thanks, Patrick. Yeah, I was going to just briefly respond to that. We did discuss it during the brainstorming session. Consensus wasn't reached on any global level. It was insightful for the people who were there to help think about it, and that's where Tadaska created the proposal. But the delegates can vote according to what they want based upon, it could have been Patrick's meeting, or it could have been just, me and Vlad happened to meet 2 days before and we discussed it. There was no formal arrangement there. And so
in the video, you will clearly see the people had already decided where they were, and it was and the discussion had happened in the brainstorming. And I was completely unaware that all this discussion was happening there, and it was not necessary in the main meeting. And that's my point. It's a simple point, and I think it's obvious by watching the videos.
I think exactly the contrario, or how you want to say the name. I fucking don't care. Sorry. Contrary. Thank you very much, Dan. And I want to be the most polite that I can, but at the same time, I want to say what I think. Okay, so that's my language. I am as I am. I cannot change in a second. Okay, but my intent is pure. So have you already participated to a brainstorming session yourself?
No, you know that. You know the answer.
Yeah, and it seems to be that you will never participate. But to speak, you can speak. But
I
for
never said
speaking,
that.
okay. But
I
for
never
speaking,
said that.
yeah, but for speaking, you are speaking for sure. And you are repeating the things. I can't answer you again and again in 1 year. The answer will be the same. We don't reach consensus during this brainstorming session, first point. Second point, we go into the detail of the proposal that was signaled where? Here. Into February last year, I have begun the Fractally brainstorming session with Jesse. For what? That was an idea from me. Then Jesse was saying, you are doing a brainstorming session for Fractally? Oh, nice, I will join. And he joined, and Dan joined, and other joined. And what we did there, that's exactly the same as here. We were brainstorming on what is doing Daniel Larimer with Fractally and trying to make our contribution, maybe to see Fractally going more and more with EOS. Why not? And I have taken again the concept, a proof of concept in November last year, all making that written with the intent. You can read the article, then you can post the links into the later on to Perry. That was really to do that, and we are continuing that. Now, episode 35, about the MSIG that was passed, the proposal there. That's made since 27 episode 27, where you were not there. Episode 27 that we were thinking about, we need to have not only me, Dan, and Vlad into the MSIG, we need other people like you, for example. Now you are you will be into the MSIG, right? So I was thinking, okay, I do a proposal, a signaling here into Hidden Fractal, then we go on the brainstorming session and we discuss. And I said to the people, join us. Then you had only Vlad, Tadas, Lenny, and Dan joining. But if there was other people, they will see exactly what we do there. And the video is recorded. And that was just what we made it. We made not vote trading or all the scary things that we see into the current world. We were just discussing about the how of the thing. So I don't see anything wrong with that. And your views, by the way, are not reflecting the views that the member of the Hidden Fractal see with the brainstorming session. You are into the Hidden Fractal Telegram chat. You are expressing your how you see the things, but how you see the things is not always representing how the things are perceived or experienced. Like Marco was joining, he can tell what we do into the brainstorming session. And okay, so and you are okay to do a proposal here into Hidden Fractal meeting on consortium if you want to see the thing like Tadas was stating here into the video and also into the chat. If you want to see Hidden Fractal meetings going better and always better, that's your right to do a proposal. If you don't want to see any more happening the brainstorming session because you think that's a capture of the Hidden Fractal, do a proposal. I am totally okay with that. So do what this system is giving to us, a voice, by doing also signal of the proposal. Do that, and we can move on, I think.
Okay, I'll repeat myself. I never said that we should be getting rid of that meeting, and nor did I ever say that I would never participate in it. What I'm telling you is I was not aware that it was a substitute for discussion.
This is not a substitute. I have already stated, and now you say
guys, let's remember to not overspeak each other over here.
Sorry.
And
Patrick, I waited for you to finish.
Yeah, I stopped my hand
I waited for you to finish.
I let Dan to answer.
All right, guys, let me speak here for a moment. So Marco's been patiently waiting and raising his hand. So I'd love to hear from Marco. Also, a couple of notes I'll make too. One, it'd be great to hear more from Douglas. I know you've been hanging out. Thanks for sticking around, and hope you're enjoying it. If you have any thoughts about this or in general that you'd like to share, we'd love to hear from you, as well as Dwayne, Evgeny as well. First, I'll pass it. Well, I don't know, Douglas or Dwayne or Evgeny want to say anything first, but also we have been going for almost 3 hours, so it's probably a good idea to wrap it up pretty soon. But first, yeah, I'll just see Douglas. Is there anything you want to share from your thoughts so far?
Yeah, sure. So I'm very interested in what's happening right now is when we have sort of these conflicts of interest. There's various communication styles that can be sort of implemented, like nonviolent communication, how things are worded and things like that. How that relates to a systemic perspective is, in my mind, what we're really discovering here. So for the people like Patrick, as well as Perry, maybe start to think about like, okay, well, what would be a better way for me to communicate my thoughts? Is that something written? Maybe that's too time consuming. And I know that we have these sort of conventions about, you know, not speaking over each other, and Dan does a great job to sort of moderate that the best that he can. But yeah, like for me, that's one of the core essences of getting to a shared desire is explaining. First of all, we have to understand what this shared desire is and agree to that, and then we can think of these sort of conflicts as different routes to get to the same desire. So how can we better explain our sort of not confrontation, but explain our differences and ideas in relation to that shared desire in a clear way, so that the communications don't sort of veer off track. And we always keep in mind, like, okay, how does this thing I'm fighting for, how is this getting us all where we want to go? And then there's also the idea of these things that bubble up and shoot us off from a technical perspective. For instance, Perry, I think you were talking about concerns of the code. Well, from my mind, that's something very technical that maybe doesn't need to take up as much meeting time as things that are more relevant. So those are my thoughts, and I have seen progress. I wasn't here the last couple meetings. Patrick, you sort of volunteered that you weren't on your best behavior, but I have seen that as well. So
I stay like I am, Douglas. You know me. I stay like I am. You are joining today, and you see me exactly as I am. I am not changed. I am stating what I think. And before that, you joined today, the Perry that is here, our Perry that we love, that we love. We have explaining him in circle what we do on brainstorming session. Tadas, Vlad, Marco, myself, Dan. We have already explained a lot. So now I am not the time to write a pamphlet or a big Shakespeare article to explain why we have decided why I have decided one day suddenly to do brainstorming session. That's so helpful that I will continue, and no one will stop me with those brainstorming session. The next one is on next week at 16.
No one is asking to stop you, Patrick. No one is asking you to stop.
As you are speaking, Perry, in Telegram, read what you say. Read what you say.
So
that's like.
So also, first off, I'm not sure if Douglas finished sharing his thoughts there. So if Douglas, is anything you want to? Okay, got a thumbs up. And then Marco has been very patient, so I think we should give Marco a chance to speak. And then also perhaps we can. I feel like there's a lot to explore here. Patrick said we're going around in circles, and I can see the feeling there, but I can also see how this is a valuable discussion to see from many different discussions, because I feel like overall it makes the community healthier and stronger to think about all these things. But I can also understand if it can be tiresome too, because I feel like sometimes it seems like Perry is maybe sometimes more critical than necessary. But that's just my opinion, and we can explore it further. But it might be best to also do it in a different forum at some point. And if Perry, if you'd want to host a meeting and discuss things like these in more details, I would join, and I would have longer conversations about that. So that would be a cool thing to do.
What I'm trying to do is I'm not trying to host the meeting. What I'm trying to do is set up an environment where a completely separate group can understand how the hosting is decentralized, how the decision-making is decentralized, how the discussions are decentralized, and that they're not centered around individuals or groups of individuals. That's what I'm after. I'm not after any personal gain in that way. The personal gain to me is that we create something that actually goes viral, that people really want to use. And the more we get away from an abstracted version of that, the more we get into a specific version of that that is tied to individuals, the less valuable it is to me.
Thank you, Perry. I completely agree. And Marco, thanks for your patience.
Eric hit the nail on the head. When Patrick first mentioned brainstorm, I said, oh, I love this. And Eric hit on the head because we know what it is at the collegiate level, regardless of what your major is. At some point, you need brainstorming to write these papers with this plethora of different ideas and references and things like that. It's the only way to come together and yeah. And what Eric was saying was it was too structured, the brainstorming session, and it's meant to free up more of the mind stuff. Now, the key thing to all of it is that we were certain that we were not making a decision from the beginning. We just wanted to discuss it. We were not making a decision. We wanted to explore the ideas. And at some point, it was mentioned to make it more structured like this, but that would defeat the purpose of the brainstorming session. And yeah, I'm with Eric, as he said, for those minor. And it's great to have that creative, exploring the creative process into it, because language itself is a barrier to throwing ideas. I see Douglas goes ahead, so if he wants to throw it in there, I'm done for the day. I've been up for, I think, 2 days now.
Jeez, you said you've been up for 2 days. You haven't slept, Marco? Did I hear that correctly? Man, it sounds like you should go out in a hammock out in that jungle you're in and go get some shut-eye. But yeah, thanks. I'm surprised at how well you were able to speak and convey points that are helpful when you're tired or haven't slept. But power to you, and thank you, Marco, for sharing the great thoughts. I'll also suggest too that we start to wrap it up now. I know that just being in front of a computer for a long time can be tiring. And one thing I want to mention too is oftentimes after these Eden Fractal meetings, we do stay on after the recording. So I usually stop recording, try to keep it to about 2.5 hours or so it's not too long, but oftentimes I stay on and just go into audio mode, and then Patrick usually sticks around too. Last week there was Sebastian stuck around, and Sebastian was sharing a lot of great thoughts too. So if anybody wants to stick around after the recording and have more discussions, also can just do it with audio too. So if you want to get on with your day and go cook a meal or go do some cleaning while you're listening or working, then that's also an option too, because lots we can discuss here. If you all want to discuss more of these and have it on the recording, then we could do that too. But I think at this point, we've been going for so long, it's probably best to start to wrap up the recording and end the video call and transition to just a more open, free-form audio call if anybody else wants to continue discussing these topics. And yeah, I shared my thoughts about it, but I really appreciate everybody bringing so much value to the community in different ways. And all these discussions and things that we're doing, Fractalgram, all these different things are amazing. So thank you, everybody, so much. Is everyone in agreement? Sounds like a good idea about wrapping up the video. And if so, does anybody have any final words before we wrap up? And well, yeah, first I'll ask, does anybody have any final words before we wrap it up?
I just want to
this
say
is a huge topic, and it needs to continue because it's central to the whole reason why we're being. And if we diverge from this idea that we can create centralized, we can do something other than gravitate towards a decentralized mode, then we're kind of like, why are we here? So that's what's behind what I'm trying to promote, is that at every turn we're creating something that is truly decentralized. And so finally, I don't want anybody to believe that I'm against having extra discussions. You know, I'm not. I'm for that. But if that's the case, let's let everybody know that this is what's going on, and this is where we're going to do it, and this is how we're going to do it, and these are the rules, and how do we decide who the host is, and how are those Are those videos now the property of the group? Are they part of somebody else's brand? All of these things are all related to what we're doing. And if we ignore it, we're creating a bastardization, which is a degradation of character or quality of something. We're bastardizing our own efforts. And that's I think diametrically opposed to what I thought everybody was here for.
Thank you, Perry, for sharing your thoughts. I admire and I agree with your intentions to create a decentralized system and to look out for creeping centralization and so forth. There's lots of things that I'd like to dive in deeper with you. So if you're able to stick around after we stop recording, we could even start recording again to have it recorded on audio. But there's lots of things I'd like to discuss further in there. But I respect everybody's time. I don't want to get too into detail about it here. But I very much agree with the intent, and I appreciate you sharing these thoughts. I'm looking forward to discussing it more. With that, Douglas?
Yeah, I'd love to discuss that too, and my sort of ideological ideas about how there's true decentralization doesn't really exist within the universe, and there's always going to be a level of centralization, and it's up to us to determine where that centralization is and make it as transparent as possible. Because centralization breeds power and it breeds ease and less energy input needed to do specific things. That said, my actual closing is my desire or my sort of reflection of this desire is I think we're building something here that other communities can sort of plug and play. And all this work that we're doing as far as procedure, these meetings, as well as the voting process as well, the technical voting process, that's going to empower communities that are focused on more real world things. And I look forward to, through Aquarius Academy, bringing our own real world ideas to Fractally. And I think we're just about ready to make that happen. So anybody watching, please follow along for that sort of storyline to develop as well. And it's been great to hang around with you guys, and I'll stick around longer and talk as well.
Thank you, Douglas, to have joined again. That's remind me a lot of beautiful moments into the Fractally meetings, after the Fractally meetings, and we have shared so much things with Douglas Wu also that we are not seeing a lot those times, but he will maybe join again. Just for the people watching this, here we are creating processes from bottom to the top. And deterministic, that we can give always the same input and that will give the same output. That's that deterministic. And we do that into the breakout room. We do that into the main room. We have the hidden plus fractal process for the breakout room. We have Cagendas, Vlalendas to maximize the time. Yeah, because the time is precious. We have less and less and less and less time. So we have to respect the time. And also we respect the IDs and the information of the people before the people themselves. Meaning what? We are taking the juice, the pure juice of the IDs and the information, and we turn that into knowledge. And then we can say, okay, this guy, this man, this woman are just beautiful because we agree with what? Their IDs, their information. That's what I love. And we have the right to speak. We have the right to do videos. We have the right to do meetings, organizing other meetings. This is not my hidden fractal, it's our hidden fractal. And we want to empower the communities. That's what we are doing here. If there is a main mission or main, let's say, we want to find mission. Let's say here we are doing the tools, the toolkit that is very, very needed when we want to collaborate or cooperate into a group and then collaborate with others. So that's why I am here. That's why I will join every week when I can until I die. And I love this hidden fractal. I love what is doing Dancing Joy here because after the Fractally meeting on last year, in May, June was the birth of Eden Fractal. And I have joined. Why? Because I was feeling very attracted to collaborate with other people. That's not the time to fight. That's the time to be united, sake of the unity, and to make us some smacks here. So we will finish with something fun here. We will make a round table of smacks. So my first
Smacks?
smacks. Okay. So I will do a first smack for Dancing Joy. I love you. For your work, for the man that you are, for this Eden Fractal meetings week after week, for the Eden Town Hall, for all what you are doing. And Perry, I love you.
I love you too, Patrick.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Lots
of beautiful
and Douglas
schmacks.
also, and Evgeny also, and Mackenbird Sparrow, the best Boeing in the galaxy, also, and Duane until the end. I love you. So we finish with I love you before to go.
Oh, Lord.
Yes.
3, 2, 1, 0.
Just hold on 1 second, Patrick. So I love you too. Smacks back at all of you. Thanks so much. I also want to just say to we have a bunch of events coming up. So the brainstorming session on Tuesday, 16 UTC, the unconference planning and the Alien Worlds Fractal starting at 16 UTC tomorrow. On Friday, I think the CDs have a meeting with Eve, and there's the History of Spaces. On Saturday at 17 UTC, there's an Art Fractal. On Sunday at 16 UTC, there's Town Hall. We're also sticking around for the audio here too. Evgeny, I appreciate you've been here sticking around with us too. If you want to share any final words, it would be great to hear from you, or Dwayne as well, or I think we heard from Mark already. But anyway, thanks everybody so much for the great meeting. And Patrick, did you want to help lead us into a Go Eden or some sort of loving message? Okay.
With I love you. But just to remind the people, on this Friday at 1900 UTC into Telegram, there is the CD meeting number 4, and there is Yves Larose joining on this meeting. So I encourage the people that are into Telegram, that have the chance to be into Telegram, because you have some people that have not the chance to be in Telegram, to join us. And we will do our best to be committed there. So now we are here into Eden Fractal, and you know how we close those meetings? Yeah, you know very well. So raise your hand.
By the way, Evgeny said we need an offline Fractal meeting when EOS reaches $10 with vodka and popcorn. So great idea.
So,
looking forward to it.
Go Eden Fractal at 3210.
Yes.
And then I love you. Okay. Let's do first
good.
Go Eden Fractal at 3210.
Okay.
3,
2,
1, 0.
Go!
And the last one at 3210. I love you.
All right, let's do it. A very loving feedback. 2, 1, 0.
I love you.
I love you.
I love you. I love you. I love you.
Beautiful
You are
songs.
beautiful.
Wonderful. Lovely. Thank you everybody so much. Thanks everybody for watching too. Thanks for being here. Great to see you all. See you next week. End of the recording. Goodbye. Thanks everybody. Love you.
Bye guys. Thank you.